Like, subscribe and share Tree Fanfiction audiobook channel for more fun. Chapter 89. On the court. Not just offense. Facing Ryanan's strong defense, Dokura Industries seemed to be constipated, and there was almost no offensive. With less than 2 minutes left in the first quarter, the current score of Ryonan vs Dokura was 35-12. The gap continued to widen, reaching 23 points. The coach of Dokura Industry, watching his team being beaten by number 13 without any chance to fight back, and then watching number 12 who suddenly appeared and beat his team again, suddenly made his face flushed. He saw Ryanan's playing style. In this regard, now it is very clear. The coach on the opposite side, even if he is new to the national competition, is definitely a cunning guy. He put a player with terrible three-point ability there, but he didn't use him. Instead he let him act as bait to create excellent personal offensive space for number 12. Breakthrough. Shooting. Attack the basket. Passing. To be honest, although he has perfect offensive ability and terrible court sense, Ryonan number 12 is not as impactful as number 13, but there is no doubt that this is also an ace player that all coaches will look at. Momokura Industrial Coach. Damn it, I actually fell into the opponent's trap and focused all my attention on number 13. In fact, their main player is number 12 690. No matter how outrageous a shooter number 13 is, considering the stability of the skill of three-point shooting, it is impossible to compare with such a ball string that can influence the team's offense and defense. I am so stupid. I lost my judgment after being beaten by the exaggerated three-pointers just now. Double team no 12. Momokura Industrial Coach shouted sternly and changed the tactics at the same time. Ryonan number 13 didn't touch the ball for most of the quarter. He was like a bait, swinging around in the middle circle waiting for fishing. Now his touch is going cold. He didn't believe that number 13 could still threaten them in this situation. After the coach of Towking Industrial shouted, the players on the field immediately changed their tactics. Once number 12 received the ball, they would double-team him from front and back, trying to prevent him from integrating the team as the core. However, Sendoh's reaction made Coach Towking frown at the first time. Sendoh got the ball from the right side at 45 degrees, and used his superb skills to control the ball steadily under the double team of two people. Hip turn. Crotch. Sudden stop. Continuous front phase change. While controlling the ball, he calmly signaled to Daisuke Funabashi in the penalty area. Daisuke Funabashi got rid of the entanglement with the opponent in the penalty area and came to Sendoh's side to cover. When he received the ball, he saw the look that Xianlian cast at him. After a short daze, Daisuke Funabashi looked at the back of Sendoh taking away two defensive players and rushing towards the penalty area, and secretly admired in his heart. After practicing passing with Tachibana throughout the training camp, Sendoh is now so amazing, really like a 190 cm giant point guard, and the kind with a great overall view. The next second. Whoosh! Funabashi Daisuke turned around and passed the ball to Tachibana Nijiro, who used his screen to quickly retreat and reached the circle. Most of the quarter passed. Tachibana Nijiro received the ball again in that terrifying position. Because the two defenders of Momokura were pulled into the penalty area by Sendoh alone, there was no one on Momokura's side to outflank him. Without any hesitation, before the midline, Tachibana Nijiro raised his head and shot a super long three-pointer. Minami Kiji, who was responsible for defending him, had just reacted quickly to chase back, but under the screen of Funabashi Daisuke, Tachibana Nijiro's speed was a beat slower, and it was obviously too late. He could only watch the ball fly away from Tachibana Nijiro's fingertips. The basketball flew high into the sky with a very high arc. Me. As if he was going to fly to the dome of the stadium. Toa. Falling at high speed. Swish. Hollow into the net. Bow. This is already Tachibana Nijiro's fifth three-pointer. Tachibana Nijiro raised his hand, put 3 fingers together, and nodded to the audience with his fingertips, CFCJ, like Anthony's celebration action, as a celebration of the goal settlement. Another goal. Tachibana Nijiro's super long 3-pointer is really too sure. Yet, although it looks outrageous, you must not let it go. Wow, Tachibana Nijiro actually scored 5 3-pointers in a row, and it's only the first quarter, how about it? In the audience, the uncle in the flowered shirt from Kanagawa said with some pride. He still clearly remembered that when Tachibana Nijiro shot a super long 3-pointer, the guy next to him kept saying that he was just guessing. Although he himself had never seen this thing in the county meeting at that time, so he was not very sure, but the doubts of people from other counties still made him very annoyed. But now the situation is completely certain. Then, he also started to counterattack. ITO. The opponent's main player was not tough, which immediately froze the pride of the uncle in the flowered shirt. Yet, Tachibana Nijiro is really amazing. It is already amazing to have such an amazing 3-pointer. What is more surprising is that after the first quarter, after the crazy shooting, more than half of the quarter has passed, he has maintained his touch and has a strong mental strength to dare to shoot at this time. But the fact is that the reason why Tachibana Nijiro has such confidence is because he has enough data attributes. Want to wait for his touch to cool down? The 3-point attribute is fixed there, what? I was originally skeptical about this. Tachibana Nijiro's 3-point ability, but now, I have completely convinced him. This out-of-county spectator said this from the heart. He had to say this. Otherwise, the uncle from Kanagawa who had a bad taste in clothes would probably keep nagging him again. Title. Unconsciously. He seemed to have long been convinced that this Tachibana Nijiro would definitely make another 3-pointer next time, and it would be an incredible long-range 3-pointer. Wait. Shock gradually appeared in his eyes, and a terrifying thought emerged from his mind. Tachibana Nijiro was in the first, so many goals were scored in one quarter, then what about the next main quarter? How many 3-pointers will be scored? On the other side, the opponent suddenly opposed Hua Honglang's sincere admiration, which immediately left the uncle in the flowered shirt speechless. The uncle in the flowered shirt. Damn it! So shameless! Is this the audience of the national competition? Not giving any chance at all? Before, he was mocking Hua Honglang, but now that the situation is not right, he immediately changed his mind. This change of face is too fast. Instantly, he missed the old friend who couldn't come to the national competition. I really want to bet with the other party. Chapter 90. Momokura Industrial Bench. The coach scratched his hair, looking confused. He hasn't shot for so long, but he can still score. What kind of touch is that? He can score just by raising his hand. On the court. Another round of attack by Momokura Industrial. The point guard moved forward and passed the ball to Minami Kiji, who controlled the ball while using the pick and roll, and then made another quick stop jump shot, which was blocked by Tachibana Nijiro, and he failed to score. Seeing this, Coach Momokura was so angry that he made a rhythmic sound on the tactical board again. In the first game of the national arena, Minami Kiji has not scored a single point under the defense of Ryonan, the shooter. Ryonan's offensive round. Sendoh's eyes quietly locked on the power forward not far away. The opponent's eyes were wandering, as if he was frightened by Tachibana's 3-point threat, and was considering whether to stay there to defend, or move to a more suitable position for support in advance. Then, Sendoh helped him choose the answer, and after a series of super moves, he quickly cut into the inside line, and then passed the ball to Funabashi Daisuke, who raised his hand and dunked as a punishment. At the end of the first quarter. Number 12. Sendoh's point. Momokura was also unable to solve it. On the other side, Tachibana Nijiro's 3-pointer, from the 3-point line to the center line, such a large area, is very threatening, and one person can't defend such a large area at all. Of course, this is also because of Tachibana's speed advantage. The defense is too strict. Behind him, there is a huge flaw. In such a large area, he can easily open up the distance and shoot the ball with the speed of running without the ball. And the accuracy is surprisingly good. That's it. The first quarter was played to the end. Although Tachibana Nijiro did not hit the three-pointer again, with the terrifying shooting deterrence, Ryonan easily tore through Momokura's defense, and the gap between the two sides continued to widen. 43:15. Ryonan scored 43 points in one quarter with the three-point firepower of Tachibana Nijiro, and at the same time, got a 28-point lead. In the first half of the second quarter, Ryonan easily sent out the substitute lineup. Title: Just from the firepower. This lineup is not so easy to deal with. Fukuda Kichu, the power forward, was the starting player of Ryonan last year on the back line. His only weakness is probably defense. Then, when Tachibana Nijiro and others came on the court in the second half of the second quarter, although Momokura Industries seized the opportunity to make up some points, but overall, it was still in a stalemate with Ryonan's offensive. The first to bear the brunt was Fukuda Kichu. The sieve is really a sieve. DJ. Half a quarter, 8 points, a lot of points. At the end of the first quarter, the 28-point lead has only been reduced to 22 points, and the difference between the two sides is still hovering above 20 points. D. When Fukuda Kichu left the court, he not only received cheers from the audience, but also encouragement from his teammates and coaches. At that moment, Fukuda narrowed his eyes happily. On the other side, Koshino and Uekusa looked at each other with strange expressions, and then reached out their hands to clap their hands tacitly. Del. Under the guidance of Tachibana, encouraging Fukuda is also one of their duties as substitutes. And compared to other people on the court, when they waved towels to cheer for Fukuda, they received much more feedback on their performance than others. Ha! As a member of the water dispenser team, they gained a lot of satisfaction from Fukuda. As Ryonan's starting players returned to the court, the audience was full of expectations and tension, and the atmosphere in the gym seemed to become solemn. As expected by the audience, even they could see that Momokura had to double-team Tachibana Nijiro. At the same time, at the other end, 3 people were defending the zone defense, but to everyone's surprise, Ryonan's Tachibana Nijiro took the initiative to ask Sendoh for the ball at this time. Sendoh did not hesitate and immediately handed the ball to him. After Tachibana received the ball, Momokura's double-teaming strength was indeed stronger, and then Tachibana Nijiro started the first ball-holding attack in this game. Minami Kiji looked serious, and took a defensive posture. He did not dare to sink his center of gravity completely, and at the same time carefully gestured to his teammates. Although in the first quarter, the opponent did not have a scene of holding the ball to attack, nor did he show any talent other than shooting. Fit. They Momokura really can't have any more changes now. So don't underestimate him at all, and defend him as if he is as versatile as number 12. Just when he thought of this, he saw the smile on Tachibana Nijiro's face. In an instant, Nanki Kiji's pupil shrank, and he suddenly had an inexplicable feeling, as if the other party suddenly became a different person. Not his expression, but the feeling of holding the ball. Slap! Slap! Tachibana Nijiro dribbled the ball between his legs, and then suddenly seemed to dribble a little harder. The basketball bounced to the far end by mistake. Tachibana glanced at it and made a rather unexpected sound, ah! Just as Nanki Kiji was surprised, Tachibana Nijiro suddenly turned around in a large range, controlled the basketball again, and then broke through. Oh! Momokura double-teamed on the other side. The player was completely taken away by the ball just now. Only Minami Kiji. He exerted force on his footsteps and struggled to the other side. Bang! Stop suddenly, dribble behind the back. Then accelerate again and break through. Minami Kiji lost his balance and was knocked to the ground by Tachibana Kojiro's dribble. What's wrong with his action? Unpredictable, unconventional? Street ball? Don't even think about it. As Tachibana Kojiro broke through, the double-teamed player who had just been deceived retreated quickly, and finally under the basket, he and two other teammates successfully surrounded Tachibana Kojiro. 3 people. The audience stands. Suna as Fukatsu Kazunari was a little surprised. 3 people. Xantho. Under his gaze, Ryanan's number 13 still had no intention of stopping, and stomped his feet on the ground, jumping forward against the wall of people. He still shot. That's the back of the basket. Blocked. Just when everyone in Momokura was excited and thought they had blocked Tachibana Nijiro, reality gave them a heavy blow. Tachibana behind the backboard suddenly tightened his abdomen, his right hand drew a semicircle in the air, and then just like that, behind the backboard, he passed the ball over the backboard and threw it to the basket. And, that damn ball, it was so accurate that it went into the net. Fr. Including Suna. At this moment, everyone was surprised and opened their mouths wide. Chapter 91. Instantly, everyone in Momokura opened their mouths wide, and at the same time, the entire gymnasium fell silent, and the whole audience stared at Ryonan number 13 in the field with their eyes wide open, and the noise started. What is this? Number 13 Tachibana Nijiro's playing style, whether it is a three-pointer or dribbling to the basket, is really too outrageous. This is no longer a hard play, but a mess, right? In the audience stands, the uncle in the flowered shirt from Kanagawa looked very proud. What he wanted to show the national audience the most was this. God knows how surprised he was when he saw it for the 10th time in the county competition. Now it's your turn. On the other side, Sunahai. Sawakita Eiji, who has overwhelming basketball talent and is always eager for new challenges, and whose basketball level has long surpassed his peers, also widened his eyes with joy. 240 flashy street ball style. It was the first time he saw it being perfectly used on the court. Fukatsu Kazunari and Kawada Masashi on the side were different. As opponents of this unexpected Ryonan ace, they all looked solemn. For players like this, it's hard to do simulation training. That's right. Even if we call the college seniors who have graduated, we can't imitate the scene of playing against Ryonan. This team is very strong. Not only number 12 and number 13, but also inside players with heights of more than 2m, and there is an excellent scorer on the bench. Although that scorer is far worse than Matsumoto. After a while, one of the 2 high school students wearing Suna jerseys wondered, it always feels a bit unbalanced? Why are most of them concentrated on the same side? The other frowned and explained to him carefully. No, they are passively concentrated. This is a tactic called isolation. Teammates open up space to one side to facilitate the team's attackers to play one-on-one. There are many reasons for using this tactic, but there is only one reason for using it in this case. What we are going to do now is the trump card, personal offense. On the court, Tachibana Nijiro holds the ball outside the three-point line. Snap! Snap! The dribbling action is extremely fast. Only 2 dribbles, and he broke through. This time, under the watchful eyes of everyone, he did not use any outrageous street ball moves, but just used the front body change of direction after the crotch dribble. Genius and agility. So fast. Even with this very basic technique, he easily broke through Momokura Gong Industries' perimeter defense. Nanmyo Kiji commanded, assist defense. Teammate reacted quickly, immediately gave up the other side's defense, and retreated into the penalty area defense line. Back dribbling in disguise. Turn around. Still can't react at all. Too fast. Can humans move so fast? In a blink of an eye, Tachibana Nijiro has rushed to the basket, as fast as a gust of wind. Swish! Jumping on one foot, swinging one hand. No fixed shot. Swish! Hit! For Momokura Industry, they no longer have the room to be surprised. The first time Tachibana Nijiro scored, Nanmyokiji immediately yelled, "Quick break! Senior! Quick break! Come on!" The Momokura bench cheered with all their might. However, Momokura's actions were still under Ryanan's control, especially when they rested for half a quarter in the second quarter. At this time, Sendoh had already intercepted their offensive route. "It's a little slow." The Momokura point guard's face was pale. Such a tall point guard can run so fast. Damn it! Here! Just then, Minami Kiji suddenly appeared beside the Momokura point guard to respond. After getting the ball, he continued to speed up and rush towards Ryonan, and Sendoh took a quick glance and stopped chasing. "Go! Nanmu! TJ! Swoosh!" A black shadow came and knocked Nanmyokiji's dunk away. Nanmyokiji's eyes widened. "It's number 13 again. Number 12 is fine, but number 13, they had already. But they were still caught up. Too fast." In the second half of the second quarter, as soon as Ryonan came back as a starter, in just a short offensive and defensive round, Tachibana Nijiro's sudden change in play was the kind of impact that all the audience could directly feel that this person was visible to the naked eye. "Awesome, is this the number 1 seed in Kanagawa? So awesome! Number 13 is super fast. Tachibana Nijiro is the best player in Kanagawa this year, even AMU can't compare to him. Even if you don't understand basketball, you can see that he is very good." Ah! Tachibana Nijiro didn't jump towards the basket at all. In Ryanan's next attack, Tachibana Nijiro held the ball with one hand and jumped casually, almost in the opposite direction of the basket. Minami Kiji blocked with all his strength, and felt that this defense had become. "This time you can't break the defense. It's impossible to shoot with this posture." Sato. Tachibana Nijiro twisted his body in the air, and the one-handed holding of the ball instantly turned into a one-handed swing like a baseball. The next second, the ball drew 10 fast shooting streams in the air. Bang! Bounce! Violent basket! What? What happened to the shot just now? Jump shot? No, hook shot. Minami Kiji's face was the same as the substitute player's dumbfounded expression. Why did that ball go in? It's not a hook shot at all, he just threw the ball out. TJA with Macron T. It can't be explained at all. 5.4. The corner of the stands. Keinan University. They all had a thorough understanding of Tachibana Nijiro's ability, and at this moment, all of them looked at Tachibana Nijiro with burning eyes, especially Shinichi Maki. And the coach Riki Takato. Not just basketball, any sport has gone through a long period of precipitation before it has basic movements and ideal forms. It is precisely through countless screenings that most unnecessary parts are eliminated, thus forming limited options, and predictions can be established, and based on this, various offensive and defensive tactics are derived. This is the game. Shinichi Maki has the most say in this, and he took over the coach's words and praised, whether it is dribbling or shooting, Tachibana Nijiro's free and unrestrained style of play will not be bound by common sense. Infinite possibilities, unpredictable. Chapter 92. He's rushing over here alone, don't be so arrogant. Stop him. Fight him, disrupt his movements, and make him stop. Momokura's power forward, with a serious face, was ready to commit a foul and give the monster number 13 in front of him a hard blow, but just when he came to the opponent, he suddenly felt that the opponent was full of flaws, and even the ball in front of him seemed to be within reach, but at the moment he reached out to steal it, Tachibana Nijiro suddenly changed his crotch and accelerated the attack. "You guy! I was fooled again. Damn it. In the penalty area. Momokura Center saw time, jump up and block the shot with all your strength. Stop him. In the expectation of the Tao King substitute players, Tachibana Nijiro's hair flew, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He is very tall, and he jumps, high too. Title. It's no use. Tachibana Nijiro's body fell backwards, and then got farther and farther away from the opponent, until his body was completely parallel to the ground, and then he shot and scored the ball. That exaggerated posture made people wonder how he stabilized his body when he landed. And asked seriously. What is 25? With his upper body almost parallel to the ground, shoot with the face level? Generally speaking, the better a person is at shooting, the more stable the parabola height of the shot. But there is no pattern at all in the parabola height of Tachibana Nijiro, but he never misses. During Momokura's offensive round, Minamiki Kiji was thinking about countermeasures quickly. Since he couldn't see what Tachibana Nijiro would do next, and since the plane speed and height were not comparable, then he would rely on strength to decide the outcome. Just when Minamiki Kiji was ready to use all his strength to decide the outcome, Tachibana Nijiro suddenly reached out and intercepted the ball passed to him, interrupting his plan. Minamiki Kiji. How is it possible? Sorry, your offensive pattern has been completely seen through. I couldn't help but grab it. Tachibana Nijiro dribbled the ball to Momokura's half-court, and Minami Kiji chased him without giving up. Minami-senpai is very fast. Still can't catch up. It was the first time for Momokura's players to see Minami Kiji, the ace, suffer such a loss in speed. Even if the number 13 was fast, he couldn't be so much faster than Minami while dribbling. Just when they were thinking this, they found that Ryonan no 13's speed slowed down. In the paint area, Minami Kiji caught up with Tachibana Nijiro, then jumped up and blocked the ball in Tachibana Nijiro's hand with all his strength. Woo! No matter how strong the enemy is, they will never give up and will definitely stop it, so this time, they will definitely find a way to solve it. Somewhere in everyone's heart, during the consecutive victories in the county competition, such thoughts inevitably arose. Wrong. No one can stop the monster of Ryonan. Tachibana Nijiro rushed to Momokura's half-court with the ball, because he was a point guard. A complete street ball style crotch pass. Then the small forward. Eat it alive with speed. Then the power forward. Stopped with one hand in his pocket, the rhythm changed and accelerated again. Really? He broke through one person. He actually did it alone. Too strong. As the audience exclaimed, Tachibana Nijiro had already rushed to Momokura's basket, and the last defense was left with Momokura's bracelet and Minami Kiji. They are the two strongest defenders in Momokura, guarding the last pass. He's back. Stop him. However, no matter how loud the cheers from the Momokura bench were, the facts before him could not be changed. Bang! After a full burst of speed, Tachibana Nijiro pressed two people, knocked them away with extreme violence, and then pressed the ball into the basket. Coach Momokura. All 5 players in the team were broken through, 014107325 Fila 120111101. Ella. In the first quarter, the most energy-saving three-pointer burst, in the first half of the second quarter, full of energy, in the second half of the second quarter, with Tachibana Nijiro's full-strength burst without any understanding of physical energy. In the gymnasium, the audience has completely fallen silent. Because they are witnessing a massacre with a huge disparity in strength, no one has ever thought that this newcomer to the national competition, or number 13 Tachibana Nijiro, is actually so strong. The third quarter starts. Ryonan vs Momokura. 83-35. This is just the beginning of the third quarter. Ryonan got such an exaggerated score, and in the second half of the second quarter, he widened the gap to 48 points. On the court, the spider web has been full of nests, and the jump pass was intercepted by Tachibana Nijiro again. Turn around and pass. Spin and jump, back to the basket, and throw it casually. Goal. Tachibana Nijiro's series of actions, as the game progressed, became more and more unsystematic, and the degree of 347 goals became more and more exaggerated. At this time, Coach Momokura noticed the momentary stiffness of Minami Kiji's movements. Aft. The state is not right? No. This is Beeb. Momokura substitution. On the sidelines, a teammate called Minami Kiji, Mew. I'm substituting you. Minami Kiji was stunned for a moment. What? Why do you want to substitute? The teammate shook his head. Stop talking, go back quickly. Minami Kiji shouted at the coach, I'm fine, and it's not difficult, at this time. I told you to come back immediately. Takamoiki's coach shouted even louder than when he was forced into a corner by Tachibana Nijiro. Minami Kiji gritted his teeth unwillingly and had to leave the court in the end. When he sat on the bench beside the court, Takamoiki squatted down and observed closely with a serious face. He found that it was just as he imagined, he had sprained his leg. He had been following the unexpected and terrifying agility of number 13. Minami was already struggling. In addition, the block at the basket was knocked open, and he should have sprained his leg there. On the other side, Takamoiki glanced at Minami Kiji who was leaving the court. Although the game could have been over long ago judging by the score, he still shook his head slightly until this moment. He whispered with empathy. It's over. Chapter 93. After Minami Kiji left the field, Momokura's decline intensified. It was a complete one-sided destruction. I couldn't bear to watch it anymore. This gap. No matter how hard you struggle, it's useless. Not only the audience at the scene thought so, but also the Momokura players. Even the captain of Momokura, Kashiwei Kazuo, felt that facing Ryonan had no power to fight back, and everyone had already reached their limit. It might be better to replace them and let the substitutes come up to play, so as to gain some experience for the younger generation. Maybe this would be better? On the other side, Tachibana Nijiro looked at the defensive player standing in front of him with trembling legs. It was earlier than he thought. It was over. But at this moment, off the court, Minami Kiji suddenly stood up and clapped his hands, shouting loudly, Everyone, the game is not over yet. If you don't persist to the end, how can you know if the chance is really zero? So, never give up. Even if you lose, never let it come to the moment you give up. Tachibana Nijiro's pupils suddenly shrank, and the players of Momokura were stunned. Kashiwei Kazuo couldn't help but smile bitterly. Really? If that happens, we can't make a substitution, Sien. The guy who was injured hasn't given up yet, how can we admit defeat? Kashiwei Kazuo turned his head to the bench and shouted, Hey! People on the bench, haven't you slept yet? Cheer loudly until the end. Nanmu smiled, sat back on the bench, put his arms around the shoulders of the juniors on both sides, and understood what Kashiwei Kazuo said, the players on the field haven't given up yet, what's the point of you just watching quietly, don't forget to cheer for your teammates. Yes. Defense. Defense. Audience stands. Momokura's cheering group is not large. At this time, after seeing the changes on the field, their cheering also spread loudly. At the same time, in addition to winning or losing, they were also excited for Momokura's spirit. Still as firm as ever, Captain 2. Nanmu can be so reliable sometimes. Don't give up, at least show that BD number 13 your backbone. DY. After losing so badly, I feel excited. On the court, Kashiwei Kazuo looked at his teammates and said, Don't let go of any points, run to the end. Everyone smiled back. Bok. Do you need to say that? Nanmyo-kiji was infected by the atmosphere. Even though he couldn't play, he couldn't help but follow the juniors on the bench and shouted loudly, "Defense!" This scene also made Tachibana Nijiro stunned for a moment, and his heart was slightly shaken. Great! You really lost badly. Tachibana Nijiro held the ball. Easily broke through Kashiwei Kazuo's fragile defense. The fierce figures of the tiger and leopard passed by, and he spoke again, but I still think this is a very meaningful game. Until the end, no one gave up on or off the field, and everyone fought to the end. That's why Ryonan, who played with him to the end, kept the score widening. Ryonan vs Momokura Industry 168:53. Under the exaggerated score scored by Ryonan, who devoted all his efforts to the attack, no one in Dohi shed tears. Because on this day, they were completely defeated. Minami Kiji, who turned all his unwillingness into cheering, was hoarse when he returned to the house. He clenched his teeth. Let's go, Minami, assemble the team. Kashiwei Kazuo called Nanmyo, and Song finally changed Nanmyo Jusu's answer. When walking to the center line of the court, Nanmyo Kiji and Tachibana Nijiro passed by each other, but Nanmyo just looked at each other without saying a word and walked silently. Pound. The timeline that intersected with Sunahai in the quarterfinals. It seemed to be repeated again. The students on the bench, including the Momokura students in the stands, saw this scene and fell silent. Many people even secretly closed their eyes in advance when Nanmyo Kiji and Tachibana Nijiro met face to face. Ryonan High School wins. 168:53. Salute. Thank you very much for your advice. Suna in the audience also looked solemnly at the score between Ryonan and Momokura. Fukatsu Kazunari blinked, so strong. A year has passed. Compared to the improvement of Suna's lineup and the introduction of the first-year genius ace Sawakita Aishi, with the retirement of the third-year players last year, the strength of Momokura has undoubtedly weakened. That Minami Kiji is not as strong as Momokura's third-year ace last year. However, 014107325-120111261. Even so, the gap is too big. When Suna beat Momokura last year, they only won by more than 60 points. And this Ryonan. In the first battle of the national competition, they beat the top 8 team last year by more than 100 points. B-level rating? Don't joke. I knew it would be so easy for a team to beat Kanan. Last year, Shinichi Maki, a first-year player, beat Hakuta Shode very dangerously before being eliminated. Kawada Masashi thought of Shinichi Maki and continued with some regret, "It's a pity that I didn't play against Kanan last year. As a first-year player, he was probably the most experienced last year. Except me." On the side, Sawakita Eiji heard this and looked at his Abe senior in surprise. Ah! Isn't the senior a forward? Then Shinichi Maki, isn't he a point guard? Fukatsu Kazunari couldn't help but laugh at Sawakita Eiji's question. First of all, Shinichi Maki doesn't look like a point guard at all. XX. Kawada doesn't look like a forward either. Last year when Kawada first entered school, he was a 165 cm little kid. Now he has grown to 190 cm and has moved from a guard to a forward. Sawakita Eiji, ah? Scarf? 1 year? 25 cm. Senior. Do you have any tips for growing taller? Recently, Sawakita Eiji, who feels that his height growth is far less than that of junior high school, looks at Kawada seriously. Masashi, who has always been aiming for America, really wants to grow taller. Tay. Look handsome. Sawakita Eiji. Chapter 94. After defeating Momokura Industry, when defeating Kanan in the county tournament, Tachibana Nijiro, who was already sure that his strength was enough to support him to skip some ordinary pools, decided to skip the tactical card pool after defeating Momokura. At the same time, if there is a pool with ordinary purple cards and it can be inferred that the quality of gold cards is not high, Tachibana Nijiro is ready to jump. Then save up the card draw tickets obtained. Before Suna. Save a big one. Soon. The second round of Ryonan. Takamoiki on the sidelines, happily distressed, scratched his head, I know. For Tachibana now, playing against such an opponent is really. Even without playing with full strength, this is the effect. On the court. Tachibana Nijiro let go of the basket of Iwashimizu High School half-court, and there was a sound of gasps in his ears, and next to him was Fukuda Kicha with a face full of resentment. Tachibana, didn't you just agree to pass the ball to me? Why did you dunk it yourself? And your dunk is so amazing. After the resentment, Fukuda Kicha looked around at the cheers and said with envy. The sudden turn made Tachibana Nijiro shake his head with a smile. 792-1. I will definitely do it next time. At this moment, the opponent who was just dunked by Tachibana Nijiro stood up with a furious look on his face, grabbed Tachibana Nijiro's shoulders from behind and tried to pull him back. DJ. The angry Iwashimizu center. What are you doing? Boom. The wild air invasion turned into a spirit that seemed to be real, causing Iwashimizu center to subconsciously take a step back, and then suddenly widened his eyes because Tachibana Nijiro responded to grab his arm with his hand. What a strong force! Beep. Beep. The referee blew the whistle in time to warn both sides. At the same time. Just now, Tachibana Nijiro unexpectedly scored 5 goals in a row, directly beating Iwashimizu, and called a timeout. At this time, it was time for Iwashimizu High School to take a timeout. The players of Iwashimizu did not mention the fact that their center had just been beaten, because everyone was in a similar situation, so they walked off the court with empty expressions and complained to each other in a low voice. Too fast, he broke through the defense of 2 of us in the blink of an eye. Not only the speed. How could he defend that dunk? Even, he is not a point guard. Monster. Until the bench in front of the bench. Iwashimizu was the first captain to come to his senses. He suppressed his inner anxiety and clapped his hands vigorously to boost the morale of his players. Everyone. DN. Let's do a good job of attacking first. As long as we can score, there will be no problem. There is only one Tachibana Nijiro. No matter how good he is, can he defend 5 of us alone? We have to find opportunities from other players of Ryonan. Play more pick and rolls on the outside. Also try to avoid that big guy. He is also very strong in defense with his physique. Iwashimizu's players came to their senses one by one after hearing the captain's words, and the coach looked at his captain with a gratified face. Right. Use scoring to regain momentum first. Aim at Ryonan's number 14 power forward. I can see clearly that his defense is a weakness. Soon. Players from both sides came on the court, and Iwashimizu served the ball from the baseline. When he reached the front court, the ball was passed to the power forward on the left side of the paint area. In Iwashimizu High School's expectation, this is the best choice, which can avoid Tachibana Nijiro's outside defense and Ryonan center on the other side of the inside. Moreover, this number 14 is not strong in defense compared to offense. Righto. Bang. Bang. After the orthodox back to the basket technique, Iwashimizu was about to receive a turnaround jump shot, but found that things were not what they expected. At all. Tachibana Nijiro, who was staring at the point guard and retreating to the free throw line in surprise, turned sideways and suddenly accelerated and rushed over. Too fast. Swish. Tachibana Nijiro's figure jumped directly from a considerable distance. Under the incandescent light of the dome of the stadium, a black shadow slid straight from the floor of the court to form a black line. Bang! An amazing block that compensated for the distance with speed and height. The ball bounced to the backboard. At the same time, Yuzumi, who was also trying his best to assist in defense, stopped when he was still several body lengths away because of Tachibana's block. 200 centimeters tall, and not enough speed, he can't help defense as easily as Tachibana Nijiro. So strong. Tachibana. Not only in offense. Even in defense. It is because of his existence that Fukuda has the opportunity to play. Looking at Tachibana Nijiro, who turned around after landing and rushed over to grab the rebound, Yuzumi couldn't help but think so. Ryanan's turn. Tachibana Nijiro dribbled the ball forward. Seeing him coming as a point guard, the point guard of Iwashimizu High School was numb. Damn it! Score. Block. Control the ball. Why are you everywhere on the court? DJ. Number I. It's not that simple. You monster. The Iwashimizu point guard started to harass from the center circle, trying only to prevent Tachibana Nijiro from passing the ball. As for the problem of defending Tachibana Nijiro's offense, it was left to the teammates behind him. Two-man defense is not okay. Then three people. But Tachibana Nijiro was not disturbed by the opponent's defense at all, and perfectly matched the counter-attack speed of his teammates. *JE. The Iwashimizu point guard found that when Tachibana Nijiro came to the three-point line at an absurd speed, the ball in the opponent's hand suddenly disappeared. Where's the ball? When the Iwashimizu point guard was looking for the ball. The other side. Fukuda, who was running and cutting into the goal, saw a pass from Tachibana Kojiro hidden in his wrist. The perfect angle and height of the ball made him jump up subconsciously. 2. $3. Dunk with both hands. The perfect pass from Tachibana Kojiro's point guard job. Fukuda dunked on the court and didn't turn his head to look at Tachibana Kojiro until he landed. His blank face seemed to be incredible no matter how many times he received the ball. On the other side. On the bench of Iwashimizu, the coach's eyes were wide open. His impression of Tachibana Kojiro was still that he could fly and dodge, but now he suddenly got such a wonderful assist, which made him stunned. Chapter 95. No way. Ryanan's Tachibana Nijiro is such an excellent passer. And. Speaking of this, the audience in the stands paused and continued to be surprised. How did he pass it just now? Outside the court. Coach Iwashimizu scratched his head, his heart filled with astonishment. The timing and angle of this pass were amazing. From the main dividing line, it directly broke through the defense line to the restricted area. If there was a slight deviation, it would not fall into the hands of number 14. In addition, Tachibana Nijiro even calculated no 14's height very well. Maybe there were other skills. From the results, number 14, without any adjustment, was able to dunk the ball in an instant. The speed was so fast that his players had no time to react. Tachibana Nijiro. What's going on? Is there really a player who is so proficient in scoring and can also be proficient in passing? And in such a free and unrestrained style of play, he has such a high degree of technical passing. For high school basketball, it is not an exaggeration to say that these two are absolutely in conflict. Looking at the players on the field, whose confidence and fighting spirit were extinguished again, Coach Iwashimizu looked very solemn. As they walked by, he whispered to encourage them. Compared with his personal offense, it is better for us to let him pass the ball. Let him pass if he wants to. Pay attention to defense. After doing all this, the next step is to attack. Iwashimizu players nodded in unison. 1+. Looking around. After completing an incredible pass interception, Tachibana Nijiro quickly counterattacked, but at the midline, facing the defender, he suddenly stopped. Dribbling behind his back. Snap. When his left hand caught the ball behind him, he suddenly passed the ball, and the ball flew towards the restricted area of Iwashimizu High School like an arrow from a string. Command Tower. Perfect control and dribbling. Perfect pass. Started at the same time in an instant. The field of vision, hidden control, and passing movements made Tachibana Nijiro's pass calm and accurate to an incredible degree at this moment. Bang! This ultra-long distance pass was not affected by the distance, and the receiver's movements were still extremely smooth. The fast break King Funabashi Daisuke caught the ball in the air and dunked it on the basket. Number 1. Boom! Although the bounce was not that strong, from the visual effect, driven by the pass, this two-handed dunk was extremely fierce. Even the basket was pulled by Funabashi Daisuke's unabated speed and the speed of the pass, and it creaked. Suddenly, Funabashi Daisuke attracted the attention of everyone at the scene under the envious eyes of Fukuda Kichu. After a while, Iwashimizu missed the shot. Fukuda grabbed the rebound and immediately passed the ball to Tachibana Nijiro without even looking at anyone else. Then he ran to the front court, his legs moving very fast. Then he looked at Tachibana Nijiro with expectation. Title. This time Tachibana Nijiro went up by himself. After arriving at Iwashimizu half court. Accelerate. Rushed into the restricted area. After the county tournament, Shoyo drew 2 shots, 1 Kagami and 1 Aamine. The Kagami he got repeatedly was used to upgrade his skills. Talent bounce, medium. This enhanced the related ball skills. At the same time, air walk, unlocked condition, intermediate talent bounce. This move is very powerful. Title. Compared to the other move that requires advanced talent bounce to unlock and is extremely practical, the meteor dunk not yet able to perform dunks is very powerful. Because the dunk distance is far beyond the limit of the bounce, if there is a defender in the middle of the dunk path to intercept, the dunk cannot be dunked. This is why Tachibana Nijiro almost abandoned this move. But now, Iwashimizu High School is really weak. In this wild and fast counterattack, the opponent ran away directly. Bang! Tachibana Nijiro took a small step towards the free throw line and jumped up. Iwashimizu players. Gliding. Very far. In the air. Wandering. Swinging his arms and hitting the basket. At the same time, looking at Tachibana Nijiro's back, all the members of Iwashimizu High School were stunned by the strong attack, and Ryonan was also stunned. *7. So far. It was like running in the air. Too exaggerated. Amidst the noisy cheers from the surroundings, Tachibana Nijiro's aerial walk was too fast to grab the basket. The whole process was like running in the air after jumping up, and then landing smoothly, just like long jump. At the same time, when he turned around, Tachibana Nijiro noticed that everyone in Iwashimizu High School had a very ugly face. After a while, Tachibana Nijiro used occasional attacks as a deterrent, but in reality, it was centered on his own passing. His style was mainly to connect the entire team. Through passing, he connected the entire team, making the third quarter his personal assist performance. Perfect passes again and again. And the whole Ryonan team. Ting! 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 Amid the sound of metal clashing, everyone was drunk. Tachibana. So amazing. It's hard to say whether Tachibana is better at scoring or passing. Too versatile, it's hard to choose. The others are also amazing. Yes, although Tachibana's passing is accurate, everyone's reaction is also fast. Is it possible that Tachibana's passing also takes everyone's reaction speed into consideration? Otherwise, how could there be such a high assist rate with so many alley-oops? Amid the discussion on the Ryonan bench, Tomoyuki Kusa looked envious. Iwashimizu High School struggled to hold on for a quarter, but was completely defeated by Tachibana Nijiro's assist performance. The end of this quarter. This time, Tachibana Nijiro scored again. even. It was not his intention. He touched the ball. Pay attention to the rebound. Ryonan center. Block him. And Tachibana Nijiro. He rushed to the penalty area. Chapter 96. There were two inside players in Iwashimizu's restricted area. Behind Tachibana Nijiro, there was an outside defensive player who was chasing closely. The three of them noticed Tachibana Nijiro's advance at the same time. Then, what about paying attention to the rebounds? What about keeping an eye on Ryonan center? All the priorities were left behind Tachibana Nijiro. The three of them looked ferocious. In order to intercept the opponent's rebounding dunk, they gritted their teeth and rushed towards Tachibana Nijiro. From the feeling, it was as if they were going to fight Tachibana Nijiro to death. In an instant, 3 people, 6 arms, blocked Tachibana Nijiro. At the same time, their bodies, like fences, blocked Tachibana Nijiro's moving space from front to back. Tachibana Nijiro, who had been mainly assisting, could not help but feel his adrenaline surge in the face of the 3-man defense. 3-3-0. Bang! He jumped up with his legs full of energy. 1711. Surged out. In the minds of several defenders, the image of a beast was quickly sketched out. With a completely different jumping height and the burst of power under the wildness, Tachibana Nijiro, who pressed forward, easily stood out from the 3 people's pursuit and interception. Snap! The rebound was in hand. XX yen. Imitating Yuzumi's aerial dunk. Bang! Although the 2 inside players of Iwashimizu High School were not as high as Yuzumi and Tachibana, they also reacted a little after being dunked for a quarter. That is, for a dunk, the hand must always be on the basket. Then our block. Just wait in front of the basket. The timing was not easy to grasp several times before, but this time, the 2 had been waiting for the right time, and they were not facing the other Ryonan players they were going to block, but the more important Tachibana Nijiro. At least this ball, we should return the favor. Ami! Go down! In front of the basket. Both of them blocked the ball, but only one of them could reach one hand, but it was also the first time in the air that they formed a talent competition in the air battle. But before the joy in their hearts was reflected on their faces. The next moment, Tachibana's force was like a flood, and it easily flooded the 2 small boats that they were struggling to support like a flood. Break through the block. Bang! Dunked with both hands, grabbed the basket, and sat up in the air. At the same time, the 2 Iwashimizu inside players who were retreating violently saw the incandescent light on the ceiling of the gym in front of them as they fell to the ground. In the dazzling light, there was an unusual sight. Ferociously staring at them, Tachibana Nijiro. How could such a monster be beaten? Beep. Iwashimizu High School was forced to call a timeout again. When leaving the court and heading to the bench, the players of Iwashimizu High School, whose psychological defenses had completely collapsed, all had a look of lingering fear on their faces. Especially the center forward who was the captain. He was the player with the highest appearance rate on the court today, and now he had no intention of shouldering the responsibility of the captain. Gulp. Gulp. Drinking water in big gulps. Looking at Tachibana Nijiro on the side of Ryonan, his lips resting on the edge of the water bottle were trembling. That monster. Speed. Bounce. Power. As for the technique, I didn't even see anything else today. The opponent only used the passing skill, and they already defeated Yanking Shui. At this time, it was hard to get the coach Yanking Shui to cheer. Yes, Tachibana Nijiro is an absolute monster. He is also the best in the national level. Ta! The coach of Iwashimizu High School glanced at Ryonan. Tachibana Nijiro, wearing Ryanan's number 13 jersey, was talking and laughing with the hedgehog-headed shooting guard without blushing or panting. Hey! Exclude Tachibana Nijiro. The other players of Ryonan are not easy to deal with. At the beginning of the fourth quarter, Tachibana Nijiro did not play in Ryonan's lineup, which made all the players of Iwashimizu High School feel relieved. But at the beginning of the fourth quarter, Sendoh, who was more and more ferocious on the court, made the players of Iwashimizu clearly understand what their coach could not say in the end. Akira Sendoh, a freshman. Also a monster. Off the court, Takamoiki was concentrating on watching the court, and from time to time, he would use the tactical board to support himself and write something in a small notebook. On the court. Bang! Under the double team in the interior, Yuzumi's attack was ironed and bounced out. At this moment, a dazzling arm suddenly stretched out from behind the center of Iwashimizu High School, and then there was a force of impact. The center of Iwashimizu was knocked off balance by this force. What a pity, Yuzumi-senpai. Although the center of Iwashimizu hadn't seen the person yet, he could tell who it was just by listening to this very distinctive lazy voice. The calm-looking Ryonan shooting guard, who was also a freshman like Tachibana Nijiro. This person was undoubtedly special. For Ryonan. For Tachibana Nijiro, it was the same. It can be seen from Tachibana Nijiro's pass. For others, it was either an empty cut or an alley-oop pass, which was a direct assist, and could be given to Sendoh, however, made many non-direct assist passes, leaving the opponent to handle on their own. Even the Iwashimizu players on the court had a feeling. Tachibana Nijiro, as the core of the 0.4 attack, clearly split Ryonan into three parts. One side was the other Ryonan players except Sendoh and himself, the second side was Tachibana Nijiro himself, and the third side was Sendoh. The three parties acted as a deterrent to each other. Even if there was no off-ball running, they could still create offensive space for the opponent and tear open the defense of their Iwashimizu High School, forcing them not to go up to assist. And now, when Tachibana Nijiro did not play in the fourth quarter, the situation of three parties splitting up became too strong, and without Tachibana Nijiro's suppression, Sendoh, who was so strong, could not be suppressed and exploded. For example, Sendoh's tip-in just now. ELRA. Now replace Tachibana Nijiro, as the point guard, attack with the ball. Chapter 97. For Iwashimizu High School, the situation in the fourth quarter did not change because of Akira Sendoh. As a point guard, although Sendoh's passing ability is far less than that of Tachibana Kojiro, his personal ability of assists and scoring also suppressed Iwashimizu High School. Then, in the absence of Tachibana Kojiro, Bihai gradually entered Sendoh's performance moment. Suddenly, an all-around player who does not have as many outrageous abilities as Tachibana Kojiro was fully displayed in front of the audience at this moment. This scene made everyone present gasp. Assist. Block. Steal. Breakthrough. Dunk. Mid-range shot. Sendoh's abilities are top-notch in every aspect. Even the audience who entered the stadium to watch the game for the first time were excited by his all-around style of play and screamed in surprise. Wow! What a great dunk by No 12! So fierce! 25 Sendoh! Sendoh! Unconsciously, Akira Sendoh's name gradually spread. On the court, Sendoh broke into the restricted area, jumped, leaned forward, tightened his abdomen, pulled the ball, and the ball climbed gently along his hand to the basket. Turning back. Bang! With a muffled sound, Yuzumi's block accurately hit the ball to Sendoh. The moment Sendoh ran, the audience's eyes were fixed on him, just when everyone thought he would hit the target. What people didn't expect was that Sendoh suddenly threw the ball from behind his head. Number. Bang! The sound of a jump step. Fukuda Kichwa followed up and saw the ball thrown into the air, and subconsciously rose to the air. Pa! In the air. He grabbed the ball with both hands. With a bang sound, the basketball was slammed into the basket by Fukuda. Fukuda. Although the feeling of the pass was not as magical as Tachibana's pass, judging from the timing, Sendoh's pass has become more and more beautiful. It has only been a short time since the training camp after the county competition, and Sendoh seems to have been reborn as a point guard. He is worthy of being the genius Sendoh that Tachibana always talks about. At the same time, as the ball was connected in the air, the players of Iwashimizu were all silent with empty eyes, and the fighting spirit in their eyes had completely disappeared. The reason is not difficult to understand. The fourth quarter has come to the second half. It's Ryonan vs Iwashimizu. 127-34. The Iwashimizu players all looked confused. So far, they still couldn't believe what they had experienced on the court in this game. They had tried their best, but the gap was getting bigger and bigger. At this time, the Ryonan players, especially the veteran players, were all looking at the court in shock. They were shocked by the team's strength at this time. It seemed that even without Tachibana, from the performance in the fourth quarter, Ryonan had definitely reached a level that exceeded the ordinary national level. Then in the last few minutes of the fourth quarter, Ryonan replaced all the starters. Uekusa, Koshino, and several senior starters from last year. They got the opportunity to play in the national competition. There is no doubt. Their strength is still much weaker than their opponents. This is also a common problem of high school teams except Sendoh. The gap between the starters and substitutes is too big. But the game has come to this point, so this problem is not a problem. Soon, the game came to the end time. 135:43. Without any surprises or miracles, Ryonan High School won the second victory of this year's national competition. After a long and loud whistle, Iwashimizu High School was defeated. When the final whistle blew, everyone on Ryonan's side high-fived to celebrate, especially Uekusa and Koshino, who appeared in the national competition. Even though it was only a few minutes, they were still excited until the end. On the other side, the audience was still shocked by Ryonan's strength. It's a crushing level. Although Ryonan's trump players are 2 first-year students, they are so strong. It's not just strong. It's super strong. Tachibana Nijiro is fine, but I didn't expect that there would be another first-year student besides such a monster. On Iwashimizu's side, the dazed players looked at the figures of number 12 and number 13 not far away. Everyone, including the coach, had only one thought in their hearts. Monster. After the two teams shook hands. Everyone go back to the hotel to rest first, and then I will notify everyone to gather. Takamoiki said. Yes. Everyone answered in unison. Ryonan's game today has come to an end, but it does not mean that this is the time to relax. This is a national competition. Under such a cruel elimination system, if you are not careful, everyone's efforts for the whole year will go to waste. Tachibana. What are you looking at? Ryonan's bench, Daisuke Funabashi, who was tidying up his equipment, saw Tachibana Nijiro looking towards the player channel, and couldn't help asking. Look at Sendoh High. Because of the appearance of Sendoh, Tachibana Nijiro didn't notice what the system reward card pool was for a while, and completely forgot about it. Funabashi Daisuke followed his line of sight, and after glimpsing the white, he couldn't help but look stern. It's them, the myth of high school basketball. Do you want to stay and watch their game? Tachibana Nijiro nodded. Let's take a look. I'm very interested in their first-year ace. Funabashi Daisuke. Funabashi Daisuke, first year? Ace. Sendoh? A team of this level. Will there be first-year ace or something? Sendoh's first-year Sawakita Eiji is probably stronger than Sendoh in terms of offensive ability. With his joining this year, Sendoh has few rivals even in the university team. Funabashi Daisuke. Funabashi Daisuke, hey, Tachibana, you are not kidding, are you? Tachibana Nijiro just nodded. Funabashi Daisuke. Asterisk. Is it Suna? By the way, how does Ying know so much? Chapter 98. As expected. Suna's strength silenced all the members of Ryonan, including Tien Moiki and Sendoh. Tachibana Nijiro, who had expected this, compared Suna's strength with that of next year's plot line. Conclusion. 1 year less time for growth than the plot line. Starting lineup. Point guard Fukatsu Kazunari. Shooting guard Sawakita Eiji. Power forward Kawada Masashi. The three-man Suna is not much weaker than next year in terms of strength. This year, in addition to them, Suna has 2 third-year players on the court. Next year, Suna will have 2 ace scorers. One is Sawakita Eiji. One is Matsumoto Minoru. Sawakita Eiji is naturally needless to say. Matsumoto Minoru's words, if he is not in Suna, then he will undoubtedly be an absolute trump card in any team in the country, are enough to illustrate his strength. Rito. Such Matsumoto Minoru. At the current sophomore stage, he can't start at all. Similarly, there is also Nobu Masahiro, who is also a sophomore. Because these 2 positions are occupied by third-year players this year. $7. Such a strong pressure. No flaws at all. Aren't they tired? Pressing all over the court, running all the time. And, the first-year Sawakita Eiji, 50 points. Amid the surprised discussions around him, Tachibana Nijiro was immersed in the system's card pool with a strange look on his face, not because of anything else. Just said that he wanted to save some card draw tickets for a big wave. You gave such a card pool, and you don't give me a chance to save at all. In this case. Asterisk. Let's save up for the next few rounds. Suna is in the other half anyway. Drawl. I'll beat you. Soon. Ryanan's third round match day. Winning this round will make them the top 8 in the country, which is a very important match for both teams. XITO. The progress of the game was beyond everyone's expectations. The first quarter is already halfway through. Ryonan vs Kazumi. 16:0. That's right. Kazumi High School hasn't scored a single point so far. On the court. Kazumi serves the ball from the baseline. For this ball, Kazumi's point guard advances to the front court, then pulls to the left half court, and passes the ball to Captain Kazumi, who is the most confident in the paint. The person responsible for defending him is Funabashi Daisuke, who is also a power forward and captain. Daisuke Funabashi said with a strange look on his face. "B. You come on." Bang. Bang. Captain Kazumi, as a power forward, plays a very orthodox back-to-the-basket attack style. In terms of muscle confrontation, he is stronger than Daisuke Funabashi. Another muffled sound, back-to-back hit Funabashi. Then, turn around and hit the basket. Take off. DJ. Behind him, Daisuke Funabashi was chasing him, and in front of him, Tachibana Nijiro, who had an absurdly fast reaction and came to assist in 2 consecutive steps, blocking the ball with an absurd height. The 2 of them, one in front and one behind, held Captain Kazumi in the middle, and under the incandescent lights of the gymnasium, they jumped up one after another, and 2 shadows completely swallowed him. Snap! With a crisp sound like slapping a watermelon, Tachibana Nijiro blocked the opponent's attack with one hand, and then slapped the ball away. Counterattack. Captain Kazumi, who enjoyed a wave of hamburger double-teaming, wanted to turn around and remind his teammates to retreat to defend the moment he was blocked, but it was too late. When he turned around, he saw Ryonan number 12 dunk the ball into the basket. Ryonan vs Kazumi. 1800 hours. Seeing this, Coach Kazumi made a prompt decision, applied for a timeout, and stopped the game. Seeing this scene, the audience immediately talked about it. The game was stopped again. Today's Tachibana Nijiro is so scary. That defense. What's going on? Too exaggerated. Did you see the defense just now? From one side of the restricted area to the other side, 2 steps, the speed, height, reaction, are all scary. The timeout called by Feng Jian was on the one hand to let the players regain their confidence, and on the other hand to implement the scoring tactics. At this time, Coach Feng Zhong said with sweat on his forehead. Be patient, attack slowly. Move up the inside line, give more pick and rolls to the guards. Play the mismatch. Get it? Yes. Got it. After a short timeout, Fengjian High School's mentality was more or less stable. They patiently used their best pick and roll tactics to attack on the court, but under the terrifying defense of Tachibana Nijiro, they still didn't seem to be able to win. The score difference is getting bigger and bigger. Today. It's better to say that as the game progresses, Ryonan is scoring. Feng Jian's people are numb. After a small forward is removed in a pick and roll, he faces Ikegami Ryaji's defense, hasty shot, and was intercepted. Ikegami Ryaji. Tachibana ran away. This guy doesn't seem to think of himself as a point guard. But for Ikegami, a simple long pass is still a piece of cake. Whoosh! The ball shot straight to Kazumai's half, and Funabashi Daisuke, who was accelerating his best counterattack at this time, rushed over with his head held high. At the same time, Kazumai, who couldn't break Ryonan's defense and suffered continuous defensive counterattacks, retreated faster and faster accordingly. So when Funabashi Daisuke got the ball, Kazumai already had defensive players on standby and began to organize defense. Number be careful. Not a shot. It's a pass, keep an eye on no 13. It's bad. The center sitting in the penalty area of Kazumai, and the forwards on both sides who were frantically shrinking the defense, the 3 of them looked ferocious, and tried their best to rush towards Tachibana Nijiro who had penetrated into the inside line at some point. The momentum was as if they were going to fight and pin the opponent to death. In an instant, 3 arms blocked Tachibana Nijiro's sight, and 3 strong bodies blocked his way like a wall. But facing the defense of 3 people, Tachibana Nijiro, Zhao Ma Zhao, was very excited. Jump with both feet. After jumping, he lifted his legs backwards, leaned forward slightly, and grabbed the not very accurate ball from Funabashi Daisuke in the air with both hands. The body was like a heavy hammer. Smashed into the crowd. Boom! The power coming from the front was far beyond the imagination of the 3 defensive players of Kazumai. The aerial confrontation between the 2 sides ended with the collapse of the wind group. Then, Tachibana Nijiro swung his arms and slammed towards the basket. Bang! The sound of this dunk was a little unusual. After landing, the 3 players of Kazumai staggered back. When they looked up, they saw Tachibana Nijiro holding the basket with both hands, and the basket was bent at a weird angle. At the same time, the incandescent lamp on the dome reflected dots of light along with the scattered debris. BB. As the basket was pulled violently, the connection between the basket and the backboard was broken into debris. Kazumai team member. What a joke! Chapter 99. Player, Isan Atsushi Murasakibara, Beginner. Skills, Innate Strength, Beginner, Super Nerve Reflexes, Beginner, Thor's Hammer, Beginner, Super Wide Range Defense, Unlocked Condition Height and Wingspan. Innate Strength, Beginner Murasakibara has a powerful strength far beyond the average person. Because he doesn't want to hurt others, he sets a safety line for himself and rarely releases his full strength. Super Nerve Reflexes, Beginner nerve reflexes far beyond the range of ordinary people. Thor's Hammer, Beginner a 2-handed dunk while turning around, with great power, which can even destroy the basketball stand, and can easily knock multiple defenders away to attack the basket. Although the newly drawn Murasakibara did not unlock this defensive skill in super wide-range defense because he did not meet the rigid conditions of height and wingspan. Title: Super wide-range defense is a bowl-shaped defense field centered on Murasakibara's physical ability and nerve reflexes far beyond the range of ordinary people, as well as his stride and wingspan. Super nerve reflexes are already available. As for physical abilities, can be replaced by Ayamine's natural agility. Can be replaced by Kagami's natural jumping. Although such compensation is far less direct and effective than stride and arm span, it also completes super wide-range defense to a certain extent, at least it can be called wide-range defense. So, in the third round of the game against Kazumai High School, in the first quarter, with Tachibana Nijiro's Alio-op Thor's hammer, Kazumai was directly beaten 20-0. At this time on the court, with Tachibana Nijiro's dunk breaking the backboard. The part of the basket connected to the backboard was completely blown up by Tachibana Nijiro, and fine broken glass powder fell down. Everyone around the basket subconsciously fled from the range of the backboard fragments. 770. My mind went blank. The whole stadium was silent, and everyone was staring at Tachibana Nijiro standing there, holding the basket with both hands, and grabbing the basket in the scene of the backboard breaking. Funabashi Daisuke swallowed dryly, looked up and down at Tachibana, and then looked at Yuzumi next to him, thinking, what kind of power is this? EB. Yuzumi is still strong. The referee immediately blew the whistle, and when he came over to check the situation, he looked at Tachibana Nijiro with a look of seeing a ghost. Are you okay? Tachibana Nijiro patted the particles that fell on his shoulder and shook his head. The game was suspended, and the staff quickly entered the field. The referee glanced at Tachibana Nijiro again and quietly told the staff to change to a better quality one. He didn't want to see a scene in the national competition where the facilities were not of good quality and players were injured in public. Hearing this, the staff also secretly looked in the direction of Tachibana Nijiro and nodded in understanding. At the same time, until the timeout and returning to the bench, everyone in Kazumai High School was still in shock. After all, this was the first time everyone had seen such a thing. Everyone was confused. After a long while, everyone recovered from the shock. Someone secretly poked the teammates around him. Am I dreaming? Even the backboard was broken by the dunk. ITB. Is it really a point guard? This doesn't make sense. How can he play like a point guard today? And looking at his body shape, it would be more reasonable for the center of Ryonan to do this kind of thing. The first to react was the captain of Kazumai. He suppressed the palpitations in his heart and clapped hard to cheer up the players. 2. Don't think about the ball just now. What we have to do now is to avoid Tachibana Nijiro's help defense, and we must focus on pick and roll on offense, avoid number 13 and attack from other positions to find opportunities. The Kazumai group, CFDJ, came back to their senses from the explosive picture just now, but the few people who just faced the scene at the closest distance are obviously still in a trance. Yes. Even if that number 13 is a monster, just avoid him. The game quickly resumed. All the starting players of Kazumai entered the court with a serious look on their faces. RNJE. They still underestimated the power of super nerve reflexes and wanted to block Tachibana Nijiro's help defense through pick and roll. Swish. Tachibana Nijiro's reaction was jaw-dropping. The pick and roll formed a split second and completely got rid of Kazumai High School's cover. Bang! He went up with a natural agility plus natural bounce help defense, and slapped Kazumai High School's attack on the backboard. Yuzumi. Damn it! I could have blocked it myself. Turn around. Sendoh received a pass from Tachibana Nijiro and accelerated his attack. His breakthrough ability was so strong that he passed through two defenders in the blink of an eye. All Kazumai. The captain of Kazumai instinctively went over to help defend. At this moment, he only saw the second ace of the opposite side, Ryonan, suddenly changed his body, and then his body suddenly staggered a step, but he was worthy of the identity of the captain of Kazumi. He gritted his teeth and stood in front of Sendoh. Tij. At this time, the ball in Sendoh's hand had disappeared. Captain Kazumi. He knew that the opponent must have passed the ball away when he was shaken just now, but where did it go? Just when Captain Kazumi couldn't find the ball, there was a rustling sound behind Sendoh, and then October Shadow pressed out. Pa! Pa! Accompanied by the sound of dribbling. A figure flashed past Captain Kazumi's eyes, leaving only a streak of black along with the hair color, and then broke through the defense line in Kazumi's paint area at an incredible speed and rushed into the restricted area. Bang! Tachibana Nijiro opened his legs slightly, and his innate power suppressed his opponent, almost riding on the center of Kazumi and dunking the ball hard. In an instant, the faces of Kazumi's players quickly stiffened. And after a brief silence, the audience in the stands exploded again. Stacks. Dunk. Is this a point guard? Is this a point guard? Number 12 is a point guard. Tachibana Nijiro must be a shooting guard. Don't talk about point guard or not. By the third round, it's obvious that Ryonan has completely stopped pretending. Chapter 100. With Tachibana Nijiro's continuous efforts on both offense and defense, Kazumi High School looked at the score of 34:4, and soon after the second quarter began, their mentality completely collapsed. Dakamoiki simply replaced the substitute players according to the opponent's state. Uekusa, Koshino, Fukuda, and two third-year veterans, in the early stage of the game, were able to fight back and forth against the unbalanced mentality of Kazumi High School. But soon, Kazumi High School came back to their senses. Ryanan's substitutes are average. Then, Kazumi's starting players immediately chased points from Ryanan's substitutes. *JE. There was no more. Because Tachibana Nijiro came up again, this time with the substitutes, he was still able to support the weak defense of Ryanan's substitute lineup with his personal ability. With that outrageous super reflex nerve. Every time he helped defend, he could almost follow the opponent's shot in time. And because it was a confirmed shot help defense, it was rare for the help defense to be lost due to the pass. Beep. The game ended soon. Ryonan vs Kazumi. They won the game with a terrifying lead of 113:19. This score was even the result of Ryanan's main players playing less than half a game, and when Tachibana Nijiro was on the court, Kazumi High School's score was painful. Therefore, when the final whistle blew, the audience was still shocked by the other level of strength shown by Ryonan in the third round. To be more precise, they were shocked by another corner of Tachibana Nijiro's strength. At the same time, unlike Ryanan's initial establishment of an amazing defense with Tachibana Nijiro as the core, in a 16-8 game on the other side, Toyotama High School relied on bombardment, to some extent, to beat its opponent, Aji High School, by a terrifying score. 168:96. 168 points. Even for Ryonan, it was a super high score. MOXX. It was the charm of the multi-round attack of bombardment. This also caused quite a stir for Toyotama High School, which was eliminated in the top 8 last year. Tachibana Nijiro was not surprised by this. Because last year, Toyotama High School was once again eliminated in the top 8 in the country. Coach Kitano, who advocated 8 points of offense and 2 points of defense, was fired by the school and then went to a primary school to continue coaching. The new coach Kanehira took over. Toyotoma's Kishimoto Minori, Tsuyoshi Minami, and others, who are in line with Coach Kitano's basketball philosophy, vowed to use Coach Kitano's basketball philosophy to win the national championship. They even had the idea of bringing the coach back to Toyotama. Fee flows. This year they fought hard. Therefore, in the original plot this year, if there was no Tachibana Nijiro, Toyotama would have defeated Shoyo and advanced to the top 8 in the country, but the way they advanced to the top 8 was It was under the pressure of Shoyo's ace Fujima Kenji scoring 20 points in 10 minutes, which made Toyotama High School's ace Tsuyoshi Minami's mentality change abnormally. Finally, he couldn't help but shoot and seriously injured Fujima, and finally achieved the goal of advancing to the top 8. It was also from then on. Tsuyoshi Minami has the nickname of Ace Killer. Now Fujima is gone. Will it be me? Tisk. I am not as polite as I look. And what about the bad boy? If Tsuyoshi Minami wants to play some tricks, then Tachibana Nijiro doesn't mind coaching him. Hanamiya Shin vs Tsuyoshi Minami, bad boy vs Ace Killer. It's interesting to think about it. In front of the giant battle schedule display board outside the gymnasium, Tachibana Nijiro is in the Ryonan queue, looking at Ryonan's next opponent, and can't help thinking so. The next game is Osaka's second seed. For the first seed, it's Tenkan Gakuen, right? That's right. DI Gakuen is rated A, and this Toyotama High School is also A. After all, unlike our Ryonan, Toyotama High School is also a famous school in the high school basketball world. It is a frequent participant in the national competition and a team at the top 16 level all year round. 2. It's not bad. It's the first time for them to reach the top 8. Tisk. I get angry just thinking about it. Our Ryonan was only rated B. Obviously, Kanan, who was defeated by us, was rated A. I really don't know what monthly basketball thinks. Don't be angry. Look at Kanan in the other half of the zone. They have to play against Dai Gakuen first. After this, when they reach the semifinals, they have to play against Suna. For us, the more famous opponent later, is probably only Iwa in the semifinals, right? Please give flowers, 0. Oh, that's all. It's really difficult. Kanan. Amid the discussion on Ryonan's side, Kanan University-affiliated school, whose members were all in a state of confusion, appeared behind Ryonan High School without knowing when. Hey! It's not good to talk about people behind their backs. It's not easy to be in the same group with Dai and Suna, but if you want to win the championship, you have to beat them, it's just a matter of time. Tachibana Nijiro and others turned around and looked at Shinichi Maki, whose skin color seemed to be a few shades healthier, and the Kanan team members whose expressions had not changed at all. Oh! Senior is really confident. What a pity. It seems that there is no chance to compete with Senior in the national arena. I originally wanted to compete with Senior here again, Use strength. At this time, Tachibana Nijiro, who has innate strength and super nerve reflexes, really wants to face Shinichi Maki head-on again and have a head-on confrontation of strength. D number. Tachibana Nijiro knows. No matter how confident AMU said, Kanan couldn't get past Suna. Hey! Shut up Dai, Suna, Kanan, it's really unpleasant to hear. Do you Ryonan think our Toyotama is just a second-rate team? 09. What are you thinking about? You can't even get past our Toyotama. Hey, AMU, I heard that you lost to Ryonan in the preliminaries. How come you are so lame? It seems that the so-called King Kanan has collapsed. Shinichi Maki glanced at the Toyotama High School power forward Kishimoto Minori, who came uninvited, and couldn't help but be silent for a moment. And in this silence, Tachibana Nijiro raised his eyebrows. Ponytail, can't you understand his expression? The look in Maki's eyes. It's obvious that he is asking you, a nobody, what the hell is going on and. Chapter 101. Facing the B-level Ryonan, Kishimoto Minori was very arrogant at first, but his arrogance only lasted until the pre-match meeting that night. Before the meeting began, Kane Hira, who replaced Coach Kitano, thought of Ryonan's game video and the terrible Tachibana Nijiro. He didn't even know how to tell the players at this moment, fearing that what he said would make everyone's faith collapse before the game. Even though these kids had never listened to his command, even though they had never given him the respect he deserved as a coach since he took over. DJ. Thinking of their efforts and strong desire to win, Coach Kanehira still tried his best to think of countermeasures. Aut. It was these kids who were no longer so stubborn in bombarding. Hey! Coach! Don't be in a daze, say what you want to say. 270 Coach Kanehira. After a while of silence, he finally spoke. Ryonan High School is very strong, and they have 2 first-year backcourt cores in their lineup. Although they are first years. But don't underestimate the opponent, they have reasons for doing so. Do you know what the score was between Ryonan and Kazumi High School in the last game? When the Toyotama High School players heard the first-year backcourt core, they were still a little happy in their hearts, but looking at the coach's solemn expression, everyone felt uneasy. By how much? 113:19. The first-year ace Tachibana Nijiro, wearing the number 13 jersey, almost single-handedly prevented Kazumi High School from scoring a single point in the first quarter, until he broke the backboard with a dunk, and was replaced shortly after the start of the second quarter. The score up to that point was terrifying. 34:4. If he had played the entire game with all his strength, it would be hard to imagine what a terrifying result it would be. Tachibana Nijiro's ability is not only that. Coach Kanehira said this with a very solemn expression, and all Toyotama's players did not notice Kanehira's later words not only that, and were shocked by the score. 34:4 in the first quarter means that all the time after the first quarter is garbage time. No matter how you think about it, it is too outrageous. At the same time, Tsuyoshi Minami, one of the players, looked at Calcium with a gloomy face. Coach Kanehira continued, you may not know that the current level of Ryonan. Even if we don't pay special attention to them, if we want to find their videos, we can find them by asking casually. Everyone, take a good look, and then. I hope that in the next game, we can give up bombarding Ryonan. When this was mentioned, suddenly, Toyotama's game meeting suddenly fell into a strange silence. Ha! Are you kidding me? Toyota's basketball is Ryonan. This is a national tournament. It's impossible to win without defense. Humph! Of course we will win. We will definitely win the championship with Ryonan. You're dreaming. Over the years, with this tactic, you only made it to the quarterfinals this year. The fact that you can't win the championship has been proven in the era of Coach Kitano. Bang! Suddenly, Tsuyoshi Minami stood up suddenly, and even exaggeratedly came to Coach Kanehira and grabbed the latter's neck. Kill you! Minami! Stop it! You've gone too far! Captain Minami! Dy. Gulai took a deep breath after being stopped by his teammates. He could feel. This year, after leading the team and adding more ferocious moves on top of the bombardment, he became increasingly difficult to control his temper. Oft. Play the video. Coach Kanehira gritted his teeth, and with a sense of revenge in his heart, he turned on the recorder. The screen immediately showed the game footage, which was a clip of the last game between Ryonan and Kazumi. As time passed, another 2 games were played. Ryonan vs Iwashimizu in the second round, and Ryonan vs Momokura in the first round. The discussion in the room became smaller and smaller, but the exclamations became more and more. Everyone's face became serious, and the atmosphere was as heavy as if it was covered by dark clouds. The description in words and the cold score numbers. It was far less intuitive than the interpretation of the game footage. Kishimoto Minori, who had been arrogant in front of Ryonan and Kanan, could not help but feel a chill in his heart at this time, because the number 13 alone was enough to make people's scalps numb. Not to mention number 12, Akira Sendoh, another freshman guard of Ryonan, who has the height of an inside player, but has a comprehensive and terrible technique. Second year, Ikegami Ryoji, has good defensive ability. Third year, Funabashi Daisuke, is not inferior to Toyotama in terms of fast break. Except number 13 Tachibana Nijiro. The player who visually impacted Toyotama the most, Uajumi, they had never seen a center of this level, whether in the county competition or the whole country. Finally, number 13 Tachibana Nijiro. A monster who can be a point guard to organize the team's assists, and can score with outrageous ability and even dunk the backboard. Everyone was quiet. After a long time, Toyotama, which has made a breakthrough this year and entered the quarterfinals, is still trying its best to analyze the video and find a way to crack it. B. Still in the Rungan way. On the side. Watching the operational meeting led by Tsuyoshi Minami, Coach Kanehira couldn't help but shake his head. 7 points of offense and 3 points of defense, or even more outrageous 8 points of offense and 2 points of defense, without a systematic tactic to encircle Tachibana Nijiro, want to beat Ryonan. How is it possible? Soon, Ryonan vs Toyotama's match day has arrived. With a cautious attitude, Tachibana Nijiro briefly watched the game video, and referring to his current strength, he came to the conclusion that Toyotama is very strong, but also limited. Then, Daka Shigeru, as always, sent out the strongest lineup of Ryonan. Tachibana Nijiro, Akira Sendoh, Ikegami Ryoji, Funabashi Daisuke, Uoji Akun. Originally, considering Toyotama's crazy running, Coach Daka thought about replacing Uajumi with Fukuda, and then the center position. Because of Tachibana's defensive ability in the last game, he exaggeratedly thought of letting Tachibana take over. But in the end he gave up this outrageous and cost-effective idea. Playing against a bombardment team like Toyotama. Obviously, Tachibana's offensive ability will be released unprecedentedly. It is better to let Uajumi go up to grab rebounds for Tachibana. As for defense, Uajumi can't run, anyway. If it is Tachibana, 12 will have no problem at all. Chapter 102. Ryonan vs Toyotama. At the beginning of the game, Toyotama's defense changed significantly compared to the video that Tachibana Kojiro saw. The perimeter defense was very fast, even the center would often jump out. It was obvious that 20% to 30% of their defense in Rungan was mainly invested in blocking shots. And strangely, the focus of defense was not on Tachibana Kojiro. It was so cool for Tachibana Kojiro. At the beginning of the game, they played very well. The reason why Toyotama did this was because of the careful analysis of the video. They watched Tachibana Kojiro's offense over and over again. Finally, they came to the conclusion. There was still hope for others to defend Ryonan, but it was difficult to defend Tachibana Kojiro. Tsuyoshi Minami made a bold decision. Relax the defense against Tachibana Kojiro, guard against other players of Ryonan, force Tachibana Kojiro to play singles continuously, so as to consume Tachibana Kojiro's physical strength, because he does not believe that there will be a high school player who can attack and defend 25 continuously. If one person keeps attacking, the hit rate will definitely fluctuate. Toyota was stunned by Tachibana Kojiro's hit rate. The first quarter of the game ended. The score of both sides: 40-16. The good news is that Toyotama's crazy bombardment, turning the entire court into his offensive Rungan, Tachibana Kojiro's wide-range defense can't achieve a near-zero seal-like positional warfare. The bad news is that Tachibana Kojiro's help defense is still ridiculously strong even though Toyotama is running like crazy, and on the offensive end. Tachibana Kojiro's relaxed tactics caused the opponent to shoot 40 points in one quarter. In the half-court range, the terrifying three-point shooting, the hit rate is terrifying. And inside the three-point line, Tachibana Kojiro's unfixed shooting made the audience appreciate a whole range of outrageous performances. When such signs appeared at the beginning, Toyotama dared not stick to the original strategy. The defensive focus quickly turned over. Righto. The defensive strategy at the beginning seemed to make Tachibana Nijiro crazy. In the half-court three-pointer, the big guy went out to defend, but couldn't keep up with the pace and was shot. The small guy went out to defend and was shot in the face. The most terrible thing was that Bungbu lived in double-teaming later. Tachibana Nijiro immediately rushed up. The no fixed pattern followed. Tachibana Nijiro, this monster. Damn it. How to play this? Kishimoto Minori drank water while looking at Ryonan's bench, with a lingering fear. He was about the same height as Sendoh, and he was tall enough and fast enough. However, in front of Tachibana Nijiro, he was arranged to double-team him at the back, and he was beaten into a muggle for a whole quarter. The most important thing is FRV. The strategy completely failed. Tachibana Nijiro's offense with three-pointers as a deterrent seems to consume only normal physical strength. It's too accurate. Tsuyoshi Minami. Second quarter. Ding. Funahashi Daisuke received a pass from Tachibana Nijiro, and had a good chance to attack, but he missed the shot. DJ. The huge impact followed, and Toyotama center Iwata Mitsueki's body suddenly froze. Iwata Mitsueki didn't even need to look back to guess who it was. It must be Ryonan's terrifying center, Uazumi. When watching the game video, for Iwata Mitsueki, the most impressive thing was not Tachibana Nijiro, but the Ryonan penalty area. Between Tachibana Nijiro and when Sendoh attacked, Uchiha almost regarded himself as a blue-collar player in charge of the offense. What he feared most was this: being blocked by this terrifying center. Therefore, his body reacted in the first place, and he quickly adjusted his unstable steps. When he felt that his feet could still exert force, he turned around immediately. Asterisk. The thing he least wanted to see was happening. This gorilla-like center had already grabbed the rebound. Then the next second, Iwata Mitsueki X passed. In the restricted area, Tachibana Nijiro faced the double defense of Kishimoto Minori and Tsuyoshi Minami. Asterisk 19. Actively combined the ball. Then, with his back to the basket, he leaned forward suddenly, and the fierce natural power invaded, causing the Toyotama double team's defensive movements to tremble. Kishimoto Minori. Asterisk. Point guard. With such strength, you are also a point guard. Here I come. Hey! Thor's hammer. Swoosh. Tachibana Nijiro, who had his back to the two, took a step deeper, turned his back and turned sideways, and the basket in his peripheral vision came into view clearly. Follow. Genius jump. Jump with all his strength. Umay. Kishimoto and Tsuyoshi Minami, who were facing Tachibana Nijiro, seemed to see the jump as the other party accumulated power. In the beautiful half-turn in the air, it seemed to bring a gust of wind that was going to overturn everything. Too exaggerated. Tachibana Nijiro raised his arms and half-turned in the air at this moment, like 300 was a whirlwind, sweeping towards the defensive player behind him. With a look of horror on their faces, the two subconsciously jumped up to block the shot together. Q. As soon as the body in the air confronted, they were dumbfounded. Asterisk. Tsuyoshi Minami also showed the same fearful expression. The Tachibana Nijiro in front of him. $plus. $1. Looked fierce. As he rose into the air like a rocket, he easily broke through their defense, like a heavy hammer, easily breaking through the fragile wooden board. Apart from the terrifying power, just in terms of height, the two tried to block the shot, but it was just barely blocked to the forearm. Se. It made their defense meaningless. It was almost symbolic. Background board. The next second. Bang. The dunk from a high place fell on the top of the two people's heads. Asterisk. Bang. Bang. Amid the sound of pulling the basket with both hands, Tsuyoshi Minami and Kishimoto Minori were pressed by Tachibana Nijiro's terrifying body and smashed out of the baseline. In an instant, everyone at the scene, whether enemy or friend, froze. Chapter 103. What a terrifying dunk! It knocked over 2 people. How strong is Tachibana Nijiro? Me. Just like a center. Damn it! Did you touch a bomb? It exploded at the touch? Kishimoto and Tsuyoshi Minami, who were knocked to the ground by Tachibana Nijiro, looked at the monster still hanging on the basket in front of them. One of them had a face full of irritability, while the other had a look like ice. To Yota's side, everyone noticed Tsuyoshi Minami's eyes. May be silent. The game continues. To Yota's attack. After Tachibana Nijiro's ball just now, Toyotama's fast break in this round did not work. At this time, the one standing at the top of the 3-point arc and controlling the ball is Tsuyoshi Minami. And the one who is responsible for matching him is Ryanan's small forward, Ikegami Ryoji. Just now, on the offensive end, he hit Thor's hammers. Tachibana Nijiro retreated to a wide-range defense position in this round of positional warfare. Ikegami Ryoji. Toyotama's trump card. His eyes are fierce. Will it be like what Tachibana said? Let's try it. At the moment when Ikegami Ryoji thought of this, Kishimoto suddenly came up and gave a pick and roll, and from the action, it was obvious that he gradually became irritable after being hit by Tachibana Nijiro. It has begun to grow. Bang! Ikegami Ryoji can feel that this pick and roll screen action has obvious active development. Ugh! A messy pick and roll. However, the focus is obviously not here now. Tsuyoshi Minami, who defeated Ikegami Ryoji's defense through a pick and roll, immediately raised his hand and shot the ball after breaking through. Then the next second, Tachibana Nijiro, whose defense range was extremely terrifying, pressed up like a shadow, but Tsuyoshi Minami's eyes did not fluctuate at all, but quietly raised his elbow abnormally. Xito. Bad boy, good at seeing through the opponent's weaknesses, physically crushing the opponent's attack and exerting mental pressure, avoiding the referee's sight to attack the opponent foul. Under Tachibana Nijiro's ability as a bad boy, Tsuyoshi Minami's little moves are nowhere to be hidden. Even Tachibana Nijiro dared to say that in this technique, the strongest person on the field is not Kishimoto Minori, who is simply irritable and makes his moves bigger, nor is it Tsuyoshi Minami, who has not yet been named Ace Killer. But it is Tachibana Nijiro. BPD. If no one offends me, I, the bad boy, will suppress the warehouse. If someone offends me, I, the bad boy Hanamiya Makoto. Tachibana Nijiro raised his eyebrows and showed a strange smile. Snap! The ball naturally flew far away. But the competition has just begun. Tsuyoshi Minami's elbow was placed on Tachibana Nijiro's chest in advance, and Tachibana had already noticed it, so he slightly reduced his strength to prevent being hit, and then twisted his body. While completely exposing Tsuyoshi Minami's elbow to the referee's vision, he was unstable due to his panic dodge, and his body staggered forward. 2. A hook at the foot. Bang! Tsuyoshi Minami was directly tripped and knocked down by a leg, and it was a solid one. Ikegami Ryoji, who was still entangled with Kishimoto Minori on the side, stopped moving. Beep! The referee whistled immediately. Referee! He showed his elbow intentionally. Tachibana Nijiro took the initiative. Referee! That's right. He did show his elbow. Q. The referee looked at Tachibana Nijiro and Tsuyoshi Minami, who both fell to the ground, and for a moment he didn't know how to whistle. It was too ambiguous to judge whether the shot was intentional, and Tachibana Nijiro's kicking the opponent down could be said to be an unexpected coincidence. The most important thing is, during the defense, until the end of the block just now, it was very clean. WA. The whistle that interrupted the game did not call a foul, but ended with a warning to Tsuyoshi Minami's action. At this time, Tsuyoshi Minami stood up with his teeth clenched, his face slightly green, and when he looked at Tachibana Nijiro, his eyes seemed to want to kill. The players on the Ryonan bench also saw clearly that in this round, Tsuyoshi from Toyotama High School Minami, just like Tachibana said, there really is a dangerous move. The senior Ryonan from the third year, Shinichi Kazunari, frowned and snorted, he definitely did it on purpose. Isoya Yoji nodded, yes, fortunately Tachibana reacted quickly. But Tachibana's kick just now, was it also intentional? Everyone. Suddenly. It has not appeared for a long time. The past bad-tempered bad boy images of Tachibana Nijiro appeared in everyone's mind. Intentional? Da. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. Just then. Koshino Hiroaki. Tachibana did a great job. We must teach them a lesson. Uekusa Tomoyuki, that's right. The other substitutes looked at the situation on the field. And couldn't help swallowing. Toyotama High School's moves are getting bigger and bigger. Title. I have to sigh again, Tachibana is really skilled. Although I knew that Tachibana Nijiro's abilities were very comprehensive, I didn't expect that he was so comprehensive that he was good at this kind of skill. But when I thought about how Tachibana had briefly shown his bad boy ability before, I thought that it was reasonable. 89. $719. On the court. Tsuyoshi Minami had a gloomy face and scanned Tachibana Nijiro with a murderous look. At first, he was just pretending to intimidate in order to win. He thought that if he swung his elbow, the opponent would bend down, and then he could deal with the opponent's offense and defense. Wang Qianzhao never thought of really hitting the opponent. And the moment when he really wanted to hit the opponent directly, wanted to make the opponent lose the ace player, and thus reverse the victory, was now. Facing the guy in front of him who had no fear in his eyes, was not afraid of any coercion, and could even fight back. Quietly. The huge disadvantage in the score, the opponent's fearlessness and even the courage to fight back, made Tsuyoshi Minami justify this behavior in his heart. Because for him, there is nothing more important than winning. And when the flower of evil in his heart grew fiercely, the more evil one. It was like a sneer at his awakening, even though that smile looked extremely warm, Tsuyoshi Minami saw the terrifying evil. And silently, with the shape of his mouth, he fiddled with him. Try. Come here. Intestine. Chapter 104. Tachibana, can you handle it? As a pure defensive player, Ikegami Ryoji was hurt by Toyotama's increasingly violent actions in the last few rounds, but he still came to Tachibana's side, wanting to share this dirty work for the other party. Tachibana Nijiro smiled slightly. Senior, don't worry about me. KMB. But they. Looking at Tachibana Nijiro's gradually half-closed and gloomy eyes, even though Tachibana had caused Toyotama to suffer a lot in the last few rounds, Ikegami Ryoji thought about it and said. Be careful, that Tsuyoshi Minami, the way he looks at you is not good. Je. A certain offensive round. Ikegami Ryoji looked at Tachibana Nijiro with a complicated expression. Because at this time, Tachibana was fighting back against the opponent's double team, fighting back with 1 against 2, and compared to the rough opponent, Tachibana. So far, he has avoided the referee's capture, not a single foul has been called, and even from the degree of his opponent's grinning, it is obvious that he has not suffered any loss at all. Toyotama's Iwata Mitsuaki and Yaeshi Kyohei, they are different from Kishimoto's carefree guys, and they clearly saw Tsuyoshi Minami's determination. Therefore, it is better to sacrifice themselves than to sacrifice the trump card. Q. Bang. 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 Amid the muffled sound of muscles colliding, the two people's double teaming was numbed by Tachibana Nijiro alone. Even at this point, the referee did not blow the whistle. Me. Every time he does any action, this guy is twice as good. Bang! Tachibana Nijiro raised his elbow inadvertently to grab the rebound, and Iwata Mitsuaki felt a pain in his chest, and his expression became tangled. Snap! Uashimi easily grabbed the rebound. Originally, he was about to explode under Toyotama's rough action. Now that his opponent was taken over by Tachibana, he was not angry, but cast a little sympathetic eyes to Toyotama's inside line. Uashimi. It's miserable. Soon. The end of the second quarter. Kfia, Tachibana Nijiro faced Toyotama High School handled it well. No matter what the action was, they would avoid it and quickly counterattack. Seizing the last opportunity of the second quarter, Tsuyoshi Minami rushed towards Tachibana Nijiro in the offense, and this time, he directly raised his knee fiercely. Bm. Cheek. But the next second, Tsuyoshi Minami felt a pain in his chest, and then his face turned black, and the knee-raising action on his legs was stagnant, and the ball, naturally failed to score. He also knelt on his knees and pressed his chest in pain. Suddenly, all the people in Toyotama surrounded him. What he said? Damn it! You are so mean! A hole! What did you do? Despicable guy! You are so happy to win like this. It seems that Tachibana Nijiro is the villain, although, to some extent, it is completely correct. It seems that not only are their actions cute enough, but they are also good kids, everyone in Toyotama, although I am not particularly interested in you. However, if the opponent is a guy like you, I will feel very happy when I see you lose and look distraught and unwilling. Tachibana Nijiro's continuous psychological attacks on Toyotama High School have inexplicably pushed the anger of Toyotama people to the extreme, which is super infuriating. And that's not all. When Tachibana Nijiro's eyes swept over them, his expression was calm and extremely bad. As for meanness? Sorry, I don't understand what you mean. It seems that there are more boos from your side. R.A. Tachibana Nijiro suddenly covered his chest and said in a painful voice. Is this mean? But if we don't do this, how can our B-level Ryonan compete with national-level teams? Just talking about winning over the strong ones is not enough. I also made a promise to everyone that no matter what method is used, I will take everyone to the semi-finals, too. Kishimoto Minori was stunned when he heard this. Just when he didn't know what he remembered and looked confused, Tachibana Nijiro suddenly sneered again, and suddenly overturned his tone, sticking out his tongue and mocking the wind. Do you think I think so? It's impossible, idiot. Tuesday. It seems that Retsuzan understands. But unfortunately, Tsuyoshi, although Senior Minami is quite conscious, he is just a coward. He can't win in a head-on confrontation, and he can't win in a small move. Since you want to commit a flagrant foul, just commit it to the end. What's the point of shrinking back just now? You did something bad, so why? Are you still some hot-blooded idiot who likes basketball? Coward, ha ha ha. If you are weak, just get out of here. Don't come and talk to me, idiot. Tachibana Nijiro's super face-changing performance stunned all Toyotama members. It took them a long time to come back to their senses. Kishimoto Minori was about to rush up to fight. But he was stopped by Tsuyoshi Minami, who recovered and got up in time. Are you okay? Yeah. Sorry. Looking at Tsuyoshi Minami, who had recovered his mentality, Tachibana Nijiro didn't know what sentence caused the result, but the bad boy smile on his face subconsciously subsided a little. At the same time, the two sides were separated by the referee. 2. The second quarter ended. As soon as Toyotama returned to the bench, he immediately criticized Ryonan's Tachibana Nijiro. Damn! Tachibana Nijiro, that BD! Is he a ghost super rookie? A complete villain? Does he have a split personality? And the referee didn't call a foul on him. He is very good at this technique. When he performed the action, he avoided the referee's field of vision. Z8. At this time, Yayakyohei noticed that in the anger of his teammates towards Tachibana Nijiro, Tsuyoshi Minami, as the person involved, had lost the previous thick ink-like gloom. The ice in his eyes also melted quietly. Foot. What happened? Chapter 105. Unconsciously, I actually forgot the biggest premise. That's what Coach Kitano often tells us. Do you like basketball? The game should be fun, but I forgot it completely. Since you have to commit a flagrant foul, just commit it to the end. What's the point of shrinking back just now? Do you feel guilty for doing something bad? You are not some hot-blooded idiot who likes basketball. That's right. Not only did I shrink back, I also feel guilty. I like basketball more. Snap. 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 Before going on the court, Tsuyoshi Minami stood up and clapped. It's too early to give up now. Go for victory. Victory can increase your happiness 100 times. Oh. Toyotama, come on. Toyotama. The second half begins. Seeing Toyotama's passionate look, Tachibana Nijiro also showed a little bad boy smile. If you don't give up, opportunities will always appear. Let them see our courage. Kishimoto Minori. Damn. This BD. Is he laughing at us? After a while, Toyotama seized the opportunity to counterattack. Toyotama's counterattack. As fast as ever. The Toyotama point guard passed the ball to Tsuyoshi Minami outside the three-point line, but Tachibana Nijiro suddenly jumped out and completed the steal. Tsuyoshi Minami was stunned. Itakura's pass was actually intercepted. Tachibana Nijiro was very fast, and his steal just now was obviously predictive. He accelerated into the counterattack at the moment of the steal and scored 2 points with a dunk. Itakura Daijiro frowned, and Tsuyoshi Minami patted him, "Don't worry too much." However, in the next offensive round, snap! Itakura Daijiro's pass was intercepted by Tachibana Nijiro again. Why was it intercepted again? Isn't Toyotama's point guard's pass always stable? It is one of Tachibana Nijiro's abilities. We in Kanagawa call it spider web. Analyzing the game with a super high IQ, analyzing the steal of the ball, once Tachibana Nijiro analyzes the team's actions, it will become extremely difficult for the opponent who has seen through his offensive mode to pass the ball. Ryonan's counterattack. What is Toyotama doing? Tsuyoshi Minami looked at Tachibana Nijiro and frowned slightly. Although Tachibana Nijiro had shown his ability to intercept passes in the national conference, it was far from this level. He was too confident in intercepting passes. He rushed forward twice in a row and gambled on interceptions without hesitation. Noticing Tsuyoshi Minami's gaze, Tachibana Nijiro turned his head slightly. "I'm sorry. You are already deep in the spider's nest, and the end result will only be that you will be eaten up." Tsuyoshi Minami. This guy. The second personality is not only bad. It is also very strong. In the audience, Suna, who has already silently regarded Ryonan as the opponent in the final, came to scout Ryonan's game again today, and even the coach Domoto Goro came. At this time, Sawakita Eiji said strangely, from the second half, the number of interceptions by Tachibana Nijiro began to increase. So strange. Domoto Goro. Domoto Goro, that guy is an absolute genius. Sawakita Eiji, well, for Tachibana Nijiro, of course. Wrong, it's not that. Domoto Goro then pointed to his head, "I mean the brain, that guy has a very good brain, according to my investigation. It seems that even if Tachibana Nijiro doesn't study at all, his mock exam scores are always among the top." Kawada Masashi. Fukatsu Kazunari. The two of them both looked gloomy when they heard that. That ability, is it based on the brain? Moreover, you can get good grades without studying, and you can also apply it to basketball. Life winner. Tisk. That's great. Envy. I really want this ability. Domoto Goro continued, the previous coach Kitano trained Toyotama very well. It can be seen from the distribution of the top 3 scorers in the team in the preliminaries that, apart from the hot-headed little tricks, their bombardment tactics are actually very organized team basketball. 0. Very beautiful, very high level. Hearing that, Sawakita Ag pouted. In fact, he was quite dissatisfied with the chaotic battle between Tachibana Nijiro and Toyotama in the second quarter. He felt that it was not basketball at all. To say that the level is high means that the efficiency is very good. The players can often make the best judgment based on the situation on the court. Domoto Goro paused here, but, this. Tachibana Nijiro can see through the opponent's offensive pattern and intercept the ball. Domoto Goro specifically mentioned Toyotama's point guard. Toyotama's point guard Itakura Daijiro is also the third scorer in their team. Although he is not as eye-catching as Tsuyoshi Minami and Kishimoto on the court, he handles the ball very steadily. This correct and traceable way is exactly what Tachibana Nijiro likes the most. As Domoto Goro spoke, on the court, Itakura Daijiro's pass was intercepted by Tachibana Nijiro again. Damn! Here it comes again. Itakura Daijiro did not look at Tachibana Nijiro, but looked at number 12, Akira Sendoh, who was helping to intercept other ball routes. Is this guy a worm in Tachibana Nijiro's heart? Why is he so clear about Tachibana Nijiro's next move, and he always blocks other routes? Sendoh still has that relaxed look, but when he looks at Tachibana Nijiro, there is still a trace of envy in his eyes. Sendoh. I'm so tired. Tachibana's brain is really useful. As the person responsible for assisting Tachibana and determining the passing route, I can barely keep up with Tachibana's thinking based on my experience of learning passing from the opponent during the training camp, and my good passing ball IQ praised by Tachibana. Just like that, after such a short time, my brain is also very tired. It is hard to imagine to what extent the spider web dominated by Tachibana will use the brain. But it is really amazing. I feel that after participating, basketball is like opening the door to a new world. You are already trapped in the spider's nest, and the end result will only be eaten up. Tachibana is absolutely right about this point, and even if I can completely keep up with Tachibana, I am afraid that 100% of the passes will be intercepted. Chapter 106. Itakura Daijiro gritted his teeth. How could this happen? Has he seen through me completely? Audience stands. Domoto Goro looked at Toyotama, who was getting more and more anxious and more broken, and nodded to Tachibana Nijiro with more appreciation, that seemingly bad character. Maybe it's also part of his pattern. Whether it's a small move or a verbal provocation, there's no doubt that it will make the opponent's head hot, making the action easier to see through. 2. If it's Suna. With Fukatsu's calmness, there should be no problem at all. Just as Domoto Goro saw. Now Toyotama's players are quite anxious, especially Kishimoto Minori. On the contrary, Tsuyoshi Minami said calmly, Big 980. Reduce the number of passes first. Even if you have to pass, you should use more pick and rolls and hand-to-hand close-range passes. Tsuyoshi Minami thought clearly that since Tachibana Nijiro's ability is based on intercepting the pass, then Toyotama should not pass the ball. The victory or defeat will be decided by personal offense. Sato. Toyotama's top 3 scorers, Tsuyoshi Minami, Kishimoto, Itakura, these 3 people are just reasonably distributed by Tachibana, Sendoh, Ikegami, 3 outside players. Especially Tachibana Nijiro. When Toyotama focuses on individual offense and can't run at all, once he falls into positional warfare, whether it is individual defense or wide-range defense, the power will be fully highlighted. And the first person he targets is Kishimoto Minori, who is now the most irritable and unstable. Hey! The one defending Kishimoto is actually Tachibana Nijiro. Kishimoto is a power forward, right? Toyotama's style of play is more outside. On the court. Just when the audience was amazed, Tachibana Nijiro had already intercepted Kishimoto in front of him in a 1v1 situation. Wildness. Black Panther. With his natural agility and wildness, Tachibana Nijiro's defensive actions have a significantly increased frequency. His rapid pressing action slowed down Tanimoto's ball and then stagnated. Until he was completely frozen. Snap! A flaw appeared. This time, Tachibana Nijiro snatched the ball from Kishimoto. So far, Kishimoto just crossed the center line with the ball. On the other side, Tachibana Nijiro took a big step across the center line, and shot in 2 steps outside the 3-point line. The basketball went into the net. Wow! What's wrong with that defense? Kishimoto was even blocked and the ball was intercepted. The difference in strength. If Toyotama doesn't pass the ball, the bombardment tactics he is good at can't be played at all. In a 1v1 situation, there is obviously an absolute strength gap between him and Ryonan. He actually chose a 3-pointer in front of an empty basket. This is not the first time that Tachibana Nijiro has done that. Kishimoto Minori was stunned on the spot, his face gloomy and terrible. Thinking that the person who was so embarrassed just now was actually him, Kishimoto Minori, he was particularly irritable. In silence, Toyotama served the ball from the baseline. Tachibana Nijiro was still responsible for defending Kishimoto, but this time Tsuyoshi Minami reacted quickly. After serving the ball, he went forward to pass the ball and took it to the front court. In the positional offense, Kishimoto Minori was obviously overwhelmed again. At the moment when Tsuyoshi Minami had turned over a new leaf, he couldn't help but hit Tachibana Nijiro hard in the pick and roll. But he still understood tactics. Taking advantage of this gap, he got the ball and passed it to Kyohei, who ran out of the open space in the inside through the pick and roll. Good shot! Kyohei was about to attack the basket as soon as he received the ball, but he didn't expect Ryonan's Funabashi Daisuke, who was so fast in the pick and roll, had already caught up with him the moment he made a move. Tisk! He glanced at Tachibana Nijiro, who was being entangled by Kishimoto with a rather rough move. In this case, you can pass it. Itakura. Itakura Daijiro is the third scorer in the team, and his scoring sense is quite good. I don't know when he came around, and Kyohei's shot turned into a pass, and Itakura Daijiro received the ball and shot. Good pass. But at this moment, from the bird's eye view of the audience, a figure suddenly appeared near the free throw line. At the moment Itakura Daijiro shot, with amazing reflexes, he broke through Kishimoto Minori's entanglement and helped defend at the perfect time. The speed was amazing. Jumped up. Itakura Daijiro. $7. So high. And why is it still rising? Until Tachibana Nijiro's chin exceeded Itakura above Daijiro's head, the height of the super hand block with natural bounce is still rising. This height is enough to complete the block. Tachibana Nijiro swung his arm, and with a bang, accompanied by an amazing hitting sound, the ball drew a sharp ray on the court, and then hit the top of Kishimoto Minori's head, who was just pushed away by Tachibana Nijiro. Another bang, flew to the high audience stands. Funabashi Daisuke, who passed by the ball very dangerously, had a black face, and Matsumoto Minoru, who caught the flying basketball in the stands, opened his mouth wide, and the other Suna players had similar expressions. Only Sawakita Eiji stared with his eyes, full of momentum and fighting spirit, and reached the peak after a long time. Ah! On the court, Kishimoto Minori screamed in pain. The sudden ball made him dizzy. The force was so great that it seemed that all the cells in his head were shaking. Shaking. 14. Kishimoto Minori lost his balance and fell down. The sudden accident made the audience in the whole stadium commotion. The referee immediately blew the whistle to stop the game and went to check on Kishimoto Minori as soon as possible. *7. What a great block! Reaction, speed 0.3, height, strength, all too strong. So scary. The ball flew into the stands. By the way, Kishimoto Minori's movement just now seemed a bit big, and then, he was hit by Tachibana Nijiro's killer block. Isn't it too coincidental? On the court. After seeing Kishimoto being knocked down by such a terrifying ball, the Toyotama players quickly surrounded him. RNJE. I gasped in shock at Kishimoto's current state. Kishimoto Minori was almost fainted at this time, lying crookedly on the ground, his eyes in his eye sockets, not knowing where to focus. Rolling his eyes aside. Funahashi Daisuke, who was still frightened, said subconsciously. Chapter 107. With Kishimoto Minori's exit, Toyotama lost the game. In other words, whether Kishimoto Minori exited the game or was knocked unconscious by Tachibana Nijiro's block would not affect the outcome of the game. 13,745. In the first quarter, Ryonan was beaten 40-16 by Tachibana Nijiro's explosive shots. In the second quarter, they fought with small moves. In the third quarter, they used wide-range defense and spider web. Toyota, a super offensive team, only scored a pitiful 49 points in the whole game. On the other side, Ryonan easily scored 137 points. Typical. The competition can only be achieved when there is a difference in weight. Number 137:45, Ryonan High School wins. Salute. Thank you very much for your advice. After a short silence, the stadium was filled with cheers. All the audience cheered for the winner. Although I still don't know how Ryonan is so strong in the first national competition, but, what a beautiful Lingyu. 25 Toyota High School was suppressed to this extent. Super Dark Horse, Fu. On the court. Ryonan's players, both substitutes and starters, all hugged each other excitedly, because after passing this level, they have reached the national semi-finals. This was something they would never have dreamed of last year. The only silent area in the field was probably Toyotama High School, and the Toyotama stands, and the Toyotama cheering group that looked very bad. Iwata Mitsuaki looked at Tsuyoshi Minami, who bowed his head and remained silent, and his lips trembled a little. In Osaka, as the main center of Toyotama High School, Iwata Mitsuaki was able to dominate the penalty area in Osaka because there were no very good centers in the Osaka area. But today, facing the oppressive Yuzumi, he was completely blown away. Sorry. Tsuyoshi Minami turned his head to look at Iwata Mitsuaki, slowly closed his eyes, and opened them again after a moment, and at the same time, he said, "No. I should be sorry. Dy. Lost. Lost thoroughly. As a loser. With such a visible gap, it is even difficult to complain. Matt. Just lack of strength. And did such a despicable thing, at that moment, my heart seemed to stop." Tsuyoshi Minami touched his chest that was hit back by Tachibana Nijiro. "It hurts. If I could focus more on basketball from the beginning. Doc. What on earth am I insisting on? I didn't fulfill my responsibility as an ace at all, and instead led the direction of the game into such a despicable quagmire." Tsuyoshi Minami glanced at his teammates who were unwilling to give up not far away. The bottom of his eyes became more and more blurred. We Toyotama, Nikki will win. Iwata Mitsuaki looked at Tsuyoshi Minami's expression was stunned for a moment, and the scene when everyone first came to high school emerged in her mind. "I understand, Winter Cup, let's do it again, Nan." On the other side, the furious Kishimoto came over. "Everyone stand up. We haven't left yet, don't let people see this useless look." When he said this, he had already cried like a loser. Facing the Toyotama cheering group on the Toyotama stand who had a perverse personality but was neatly dressed in uniform, all the Toyotama players lined up. Salute. Thank you very much. Everyone, please support us. From Ryonan High School, it can be clearly seen that the tears of unwillingness have already welled up in the eyes of the Toyotama players. Funabashi Daisuke sighed, a little regretful, and said with some emotion, "In fact, they are also very powerful, but they met us Ryonan." Kazunari shined, "Last year, we did the same thing. Yoji Isotani, but we didn't do so many tricks." On the side. Ryonan first years. Fukuda Kichu, like Isagai Yoji, was very dissatisfied with Toyotama's previous performance on the field. Even though the opponent played well later, he did not persist to the end. DZ. What was done was done. Maybe the limit of the Rungan tactic is like this. Koshino Hiroaki continued with some doubts, it may be better to change the style of play. Tachibana Nijiro shook his head, let's play Rungan well first. It is obviously the tactic they are best at, but until this game, the direction has gradually deviated. It means that even they themselves are not confident in Rungan. In fact, it is a good tactic. It is entirely their own problem. If Toyotama's coach Kitano can always lead them, he should be able to make up for the technical weaknesses. B. You are too anxious. In front of the Toyotama stand. Kishimoto Minori glanced at Tsuyoshi Minami. Minami, what are you doing? You're so sad that even I can't help it, damn it. Tsuyoshi Minami lowered her eyes, then turned sideways and looked at Kishimoto Minori who was also unwilling to shed tears. Take care of yourself. B7 3 run. You are still unwilling to lose the game. Yet. Me too. Kishimoto Minori, who was completely crushed by Tachibana Nijiro in this game, has no reason to blame Tsuyoshi Minami who was tortured by guilt and performed poorly like in the original plot, so. The one who feels more guilty is Kishimoto who didn't play to the end. Afternoon. Outside the gym. Ryonan and Kanan meet unexpectedly again. Hey. Oh, it's you. $7.15. Maki-senpai. You obviously came here to see it, Tachibana. Tachibana Nijiro walked forward, and at the same time, Shinichi Maki also walked up and congratulated Tachibana Nijiro. Congratulations, you have entered the semi-finals. Same. Congratulations to Kanan for entering the semi-finals. Shinichi Maki smiled, next, you have to work hard, Tachibana. After you pass Iwa, we will be opponents. Tachibana Nijiro nodded, well, before that, Kanan will pass Suna first. The Kanagawa Prefecture final will be staged again in the national competition. I am looking forward to it. Of course. Me too. Chapter 108. The next day. Suna vs Kanan. 113:83. Ryonan vs Iwa. 124:73. Obviously. Ryonan and Kanan, who were both in the semifinals, had different endings. As expected by Tachibana Nijiro, Ryonan easily surpassed Iwa, while Kanan fell in the semi-final against Yamatake. On the same day, Suna and Ryonan, who entered the finals, were holding their own tactical meetings. In the hotel where Suna stayed, everyone was gathered in the room of Coach Domoto Goro. First, take a close look at the opponent you are responsible for marking, and understand what the opponent is best at. What is the worst? Also the movement pattern, habits, and personality shown on the court. After carefully looking at it, do some research. Analyze your opponent. On the other side, Ryonan. The last opponent is only Suna, and the player's intelligence analysis and tactical arrangements are in place. During the remaining time, Ryonan held a series of combat meetings against Suna. Suna's Fukatsu Kazunari has an impeccable defense. Looking at his performance on the court, even Shinichi Maki has a hard time getting past him. But the best one is the freshman number 13, right? I think it's number 14 Kawada Masashi. This guy is ridiculously versatile. What? Should we start from here? Sendoh is in charge of Kawada Masashi. We're going to start like this? Coach, are you sure? In order to get past Suna, not only Tachibana Nijiro, but everyone in the team is trying to make the best preparations. After all, as long as they get past this level, they will dominate the country. At the same time, facing Ryonan, Suna also felt unprecedented pressure. On the eve of the game, Coach Domoto, who has always been cautious in using his troops, did not dare to take it lightly. Hotel lobby. Looking at Suna High, where all the players were ready to leave with their equipment, weekly basketball reporter Aida Yayoi was a little surprised and asked, "Coach Domoto, are you still going to practice at this time?" "Yes. I'll ask the alumni who graduated to practice with them for a while." Aida Yayoi. Suna High alumni. Aren't they almost all college basketball stars? In Aida Yayoi's shocked expression, Domoto Goro narrowed his eyes and continued, "Although it's a bit difficult, I can only ask them to imitate a little bit." Ryonan. Aida Yayoi caught up with Suna High and witnessed with her own eyes that a team with certain Ryonan characteristics was formed by Suna graduates who were star level in various universities. 46:24. Suna easily defeated the alumni coalition. Aida Yayoi. It's incredible. It's not an exaggeration to say that they are the strongest class of Suna High in the past 10 years, right? This powerful team, their spiritual leader, is undoubtedly the sophomore point guard, Fukatsu Kazunari, who is not inferior to AMU. Since he joined Suna, he has never suffered a defeat. Thinking of that kid Tachibana Nijiro. Aida Yayoi was not sure, after all, even she could see that the Suna Alumni Coalition, who imitated Ryonan, no one can play Tachibana Abudaro's ability. Exit. Even if you search all over the country, it's probably impossible. In a blink of an eye. Finals day. Please advise. Please advise. The players of both sides took their own half of the court and went to the center line. The atmosphere of the whole stadium also rose as the players of both sides came on the court one after another. Warm-up time. Suna was low-key and full of pressure, just running the basket to warm up. Ryanan's side was almost the same. However, although doing the same thing, the cheers given to the two sides were completely different. What kind of game will Suna play this year? I've been watching Suna for 30 years. This year Suna is very strong. Title. All the cheers for Suna. Discussions. All of them were suppressed by Tachibana Nijiro's series of three-pointers from the midfield, like hammer after hammer, pressing down on the heads of the audience. And the Ryonan fans who have been trained all the way to the national competition raised their voices little by little. Until the last ball of the warm-up session, Thor's hammer. The volume reached its climax. Tisk tisk. There are so many spectators, they all come to watch Suna's game in the finals, right? Hey! You don't even know how powerful Ryonan is. Haha, Suna fans, I'm so sorry, today Ryonan will probably disappoint you guys. Go! Tachibana Nijiro. Come on Ryonan. Soon. The warm-up time is over. In front of the Ryonan bench, Funabashi Daisuke, as the captain, once again organized the team's circle. I believe that all of us have only one goal in our struggle so far. Number 1 in the country. That's all we want. Funabashi Daisuke called all his teammates to form a circle around him, and then stretched his hand in the middle, dominate the country. Give everyone defeat, including Suna. Only one can stand on the top in the end. Ryonan. Oh. Ryonan. Because it was the final, the organizer routinely added the introduction of both teams before this game. The game is about to begin, and the first to appear is Ryonan High School. 12. Akira Sendoh. Number 10. Ikegami Ryoji. Number 9. Uajumi. Number 4. Funabashi Daisuke. Just then, Nono's, the next player introduction on the loudspeaker of the broadcast attracted significantly more enthusiastic cheers than before. 13. Tachibana Nijiro. In the stands, many Sendoh fans who came to watch the finals were startled by the sudden increase in cheers. The winner of Kanagawa's Best Player, Tachibana Nijiro, the ace of Sanan High School. Definitely the rookie of this year's national competition. It depends on him and Sawakita Eiji, who can win the national championship as a freshman ace. I still prefer Tachibana Nijiro, after all, he is the player with the most comprehensive data in this competition so far. I wonder how many points he can score today. Wait to see Tachibana Nijiro's three-pointer. Is street ball still more interesting? In terms of viewing pleasure, of course it's slam dunks, but just don't break the backboard like in the previous game. Humph, don't forget our Sendoh transformation. Chapter 109. After Ryonan, Sendoh came on stage. With the entry of the Bald Army, the whole audience suddenly burst into cheers higher than Ryonan. On the court, Ryonan and Sendoh, the players of both sides stood opposite each other in the midfield. In an instant, everyone in the audience was attracted by these two teams. Sendoh vs Ryonan. Et. Start. Beep. With the referee's whistle, the ball was thrown up from the center line by the referee. The next second, the monkey boss jumped up. When Sendoh's center saw this scene, he couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. In case of jump ball, static height is more advantageous anyway. Snap! Uzumi got off to a good start. Get the jump ball. Then, as planned, during the jump ball, Uzumi tried his best to lock the direction of the ball on Tachibana Nijiro. Ryanan's ball. The pass is so fast. Ah! Tachibana Nijiro was already carefully observing the position of the entire court when Uzumi jumped. Then, after receiving the ball from Uzumi, he immediately found the route with the vision of the command tower and sent the ball to Sendoh, who was running to the front court. This pass was very fast, and Tachibana Nijiro almost passed it in a 757 way of swinging the ball. Title. Although the ball was very fast, with the perfect pass technique. Swish! The ball led Sendoh. It landed one step in front of Sendoh, and rotated in the opposite direction, offsetting the force at high speed, allowing Sendoh to easily receive this single-handed shot, like an orange streamer, across the entire court. Snap! The moment Sendoh received the ball, it was just as expected, very easy to catch. Bobd! He grabbed the ball with both hands. He stood up and dunked it. But the next moment, Sendoh suddenly felt a chill, and a heavy sense of oppression came from behind him. Swish! The one approaching from behind him was Kawada Masashi, who had almost set his sights on him at the same time and chased him. He was 2 centimeters taller than the 188 centimeter Sendoh. A very penetrating opening attack. 2. Don't even think about it. Kawada Masashi, who has grown to 190 centimeters this year, still has the agility of a guard, and at the same time, broad shoulders and long arms, can hang more muscles. Instantly, Kawada Masashi, aiming for the right time, couldn't help but become fierce. Kawada! Stop him! The man on the bench. The Sendoh players stood up excitedly when they saw this scene, because they knew what was going to happen next. Amidst the shouts, bang! A muffled sound. Following the direction of Kawada Masashi's block, he did press on the ball, but at this time Kawada's pupils suddenly shrank. So sensitive! And this athletic ability and technique. This is the first time he has seen such a guy among the 190 centimeters players. A guy who can dodge his block like this. Swish! Catch the ball with both hands in the air. Tighten your abdomen. Sideways pull the bar. Swish. 2 points scored. Sendoh vs Ryonan. 0:2. Sendoh was only slightly surprised by Ryanan's opening goal. After all, if Ryonan, who had won all the way to the finals, didn't have this level, they would be surprised. Give them one more next. Fukuda Kazunari took the ball from the baseline, then raised his index finger and pointed it directly at Kawada Masashi in front of Ryonan. Obviously, the target was clear. Sendoh scored 1 and asked Kawada Masashi to return 1. Righto. When Kawada Masashi came to Ryanan's half to wait for Fukuda's pass, he found that Sendoh, who had just scored a goal under his defense, was now in front of Sawakita. And in front of Fukuda was Ikumi Ryoji. *NE. In front of him was Ryanan's super trump card, Tachibana Nijiro. Kawada Masashi was stunned. CFDG. Really? Although the opponent was Ryanan's absolute trump card. But the height difference is too big, right? Then he asked Fukuda Kazunari for the ball without hesitation, and the ball came into his hands smoothly. In the audience, Ryonan was stunned when he saw this with the help of Marobashi Dai, who was defeated by him. TXX. Ryanan's defensive strategy. On the court. Tachibana Nijiro glanced at Kawada Masashi, and the smile on his face suddenly converged, and whispered, "Come on, let me tell you what the difference in status is." Kawada Masashi. What are you talking about? At the same time, the audience was surprised by the duel in front of them. Kawada Masashi vs Tachibana Nijiro. Kawada is 190 centimeters, undoubtedly an inside player. This height difference. One-on-one between a point guard and a power forward. This is. Shinichi Maki in the audience nodded. Should we start the game right away? To be honest, compared to the first-year player Sawakita Eiji, who has a terrifying scoring ability, Kawada Masashi is perhaps more qualified to be called Sendoh's trump card. BBK. Unbelievably versatile. If you look at it from this perspective, it is a good strategy to directly bring the trump cards of both teams into a one-on-one match at the beginning. If you defeat the trump cards of the other team, there is no doubt that the direction of the game will immediately tilt towards the side with better skills. However, Tachibana Nijiro is one-on-one with the opponent. Let me see with my own eyes your confidence and reason for ignoring the height difference. On the court, Kawada Masashi was in a three-threat position, observing Tachibana Nijiro's movements. Then suddenly, 3-point line. Pull-up shot. Marobashi Dai, hey. Without any fake moves, suddenly pull-up three-pointer. The coach of Iowa Academy widened his eyes. The height determines the outcome. The timing is also completely unexpected. And the speed and technique are quite outstanding. But at this moment, Fukuda Kazunari on the other side seemed to see a shining circle of light in Tachibana Nijiro's pupils. For a moment. Snap! Tachibana Nijiro leaned forward and poked his arm forward. Kawada Masashi's hand suddenly lost its grip. Why is this happening? How could he steal the ball at this time? If he had touched the ball with his speed, it would be another story, but he had clearly moved ahead of time and intercepted the ball the moment he jumped up. Wow! He got the ball. Number 13, Tachibana Nijiro. Counterattack after stealing the ball. Chapter 110. On the bench, whether it was Sendoh or Ryonan, many people only heard a pop sound, and Kawada Masashi, who had already jumped into the air to shoot, disappeared without knowing when the ball in his hand. Matsumoto Minoru couldn't help but exclaimed. So fast! The action was too fast. The prediction was too fast. Instantly started to close the distance, and calmly cut off the ball at the moment when the opponent's ball was combined. BBK. How far did he predict? At the same time, Ryanan's players finally saw what kind of performance would make Sendoh's attack and defense invalid that Tachibana Nijiro suddenly mentioned in the preparatory meeting. How to describe it? Outrageous. Tachibana Nijiro's steel just now seemed to be one step ahead of the opponent's shot, no, several steps. What the hell is that? It's like mind reading. Tachibana must have taken action before the shooting action came out. Didn't Tachibana say that he could see the heartbeat, sweating, breathing, muscle contraction, etc. through his eyes? He could judge from the opponent's body even the slightest movement, make a prediction in advance, and respond with the corresponding countermeasures. Is it true? By the way, you didn't believe Tachibana's words. Ext. This kind of thing is much more outrageous than Tachibana's previous abilities. On the court, Kawada Masashi couldn't help but widen his eyes in shock. The more he thought about the situation just now, the more confused he became. He suddenly changed from a relaxed posture to a move one step ahead of him. Making such accurate and advanced predictive defense. Based on what? Intuition? Thinking of this, Kawada Masashi turned his head to look at Tachibana Nijiro not far away, and couldn't help but be stunned again. Kawada Masashi. Such a slow advance? At this time, Tachibana Nijiro's control and dribble were generous like strolling, and the speed was not fast. Of course, no one dared to say that his speed was not good. After all, even the most layman of the audience could see that Ryanan's Tachibana Nijiro's advance was almost like a walk. That's right. It was a walk. It was like deliberately waiting for Sendoh's defense to return. As a point guard, Fukuda Kazunari pressed forward on the defensive end, and he couldn't help but look more serious when he saw Tachibana Nijiro, who was completely different from what was discussed in the pre-match meeting. That's it, don't even think about going over there. Tachibana Nijiro was controlling the ball at this time, with his body strangely straight, and there was no intention of lowering his center of gravity to break through. He just looked down at his opponent coldly. This ball. You will take the initiative, to get out of my way. My order is absolute. Pa. As Tachibana Nijiro dribbled the ball very simply, Fukuda Kazunari was sure that he had definitely seen the light ring that continued to shine in Tachibana Nijiro's eyes, hanging strangely in his pupils. BST. Emergency stop. Bang. Tachibana Nijiro stood on the free throw line and passed the ball. In front of him was Fukuda Kazunari, who couldn't control his body and fell backwards. What happened? The scenery in Fukuda Kazunari's vision gradually decreased until he sat down in front of Tachibana Nijiro with a blank face. And Tachibana Nijiro, with the emotions of a bad boy, perfectly exerted the power of second personality Akashi to fight alone. He just stood there, looking at his opponent with contempt without even a glance, and his cold eyes fell on the front. There was the basketball hoop of Sendoh High School, and further away, there were also the spectators in the stands, with shocked faces. Sendoh fans and cheering group. 2. At this moment of pleasure. Swoosh. One hand on the waist. The other hand. Throwing the ball with one hand. Without jumping. He was at the free throw line, and he made a free throw as if he had plenty of time. Abu. The basketball went into the net. In an instant, in the eyes of the audience, there seemed to be a chasm separating the two worlds between Tachibana Nijiro and the sitting Fukuda Kazunari. And the ever-victorious point guard of Sendoh could only watch the score that shocked everyone in front of the huge gap. Asterisk. Until the goal, Fukuda Kazunari didn't even touch the corner of Tachibana Nijiro's clothes. Asterisk. Player, Rakuzen second personality Akashi Seijuro, first. Skill, Emperor I, middle, ankle breaker, beginning, second personality zone, beginning, unlocking condition, lose confidence in teammates. Emperor I, middle invalidate everything of the opponent, whether it is defense or offense, make judgments based on the opponent's most subtle movements, discover the potential of players. Ankle breaker, beginning by repeatedly dribbling at high speed, immediately dribbling in the opposite direction when the opponent's center of gravity shifts to the pivot foot, so that the opponent is knocked down. Second personality zone, beginning when you lose confidence in your teammates and decide to completely give up on them and win the victory by yourself, you can enter the zone under the second personality. Quarterfinals. Semifinals. The card tickets accumulated for 2 consecutive rounds, and finally the heavyweight card Ikigami played in the semifinals, harvested the most satisfactory result for Tachibana Nijiro so far. 2 gold cards. Before the finals, I got an Emperor I, middle, directly. Tachibana Nijiro showed his cards. My buddy is invincible. On the court. Until coach Domoto Goro trusted the players and gave them 3 minutes to adjust themselves, and finally couldn't help calling a timeout after looking at the score on the field. Sendoh vs Ryonan. 2:17. Domoto Goro. Too fast. Because Tachibana Nijiro was just robbing the ball, the 3 minutes were very unreasonable in terms of offense and defense conversion, and more rounds followed. Ryonan scored 17 points in 3 minutes. At this moment, the audience was silent. The myth of high school basketball was defeated by the dark horse Ryonan from Kanagawa. The start of this final was something no one had dreamed of. Even Sawakita Eiji, Fukuda Kazunari, Kawada Masashi. The trio that Sendoh is proud of. In the past 3 minutes, Ryanan's Tachibana Nijiro kept ordering dishes one by one, forcing Sendoh to call a timeout after just 3 minutes. Chapter 111. Tachibana Nijiro is so scary. To be honest, facing Tachibana Nijiro's ability, even Sendoh would find it hard not to panic, it's too hard for them. But even if they call a timeout, can they think of a way to stop Tachibana Nijiro? In the audience stands, the Kanon players were confused. That Tachi? Is it still the Tachibana they know? It's only been a short time since the final of the county tournament, and it's really changed dramatically. At the same time, the same soul-searching questions as the Kanon players were raised by Iwa Academy, who was defeated by Ryonan in the semi-finals, and their main card, Daimarobashi. Daimarobashi. Asterisk. When he beat us, wasn't that guy all? By the way. 340. How to deal with that terrifying predictive ability and the passing that almost broke people's ankles. Soon. The timeout ended, and Sendoh came on the court. 17 points difference. How can Sendoh catch up? However, before Sendoh could play the tactics arranged during the timeout, in order to avoid Tachibana Nijiro's steals during Sendoh's advance, Fukuda Kazunari, who had to hand over the task of advancing as a point guard, was stunned to find that Tachibana Nijiro's defensive position was much farther than before. RX retreated to the free throw line. That defensive position is the help defense that Tachibana Nijiro is good at, but since Sendoh's offense has not yet begun to compress, just when they came to the half-court, and the positions were so far apart, it started. Ztex. This guy's help defense will also follow that predictive ability. Just when Fukuda Kazunari was in disbelief. The next second. Sawakita. /JVC. However, Fukuda Kazunari's reminder was still too late. Swoosh. On the other side, Sawakita Eiji, although he likes singles, but this side Fukuda Kazunari and Tachibana Nijiro were in a matchup, and he was put on such a rut by Tachibana Nijiro's sinking defense. As a member of Sendoh, he couldn't help but pass the ball. Q. At the moment he passed the ball, Tachibana Nijiro's figure suddenly rushed out and intercepted the passing route with one hand. Snap! Clean and neat. With a stern look. With his flying black hair and almost pre-moving, he came to Fukuda Kazunari with Emperor I and talent agility and passed the ball from his side. The number 13 jersey was deeply engraved in everyone's mind at this moment. So fast, the defense distance is so far. Are you kidding? Sawakita Ag. Oops. Tachibana Nijiro's predictive ability plus the opponent's own speed, the perception of speed is exaggerated, and from the effect, it can be expanded to the three-point line defense in time from the free throw line. It was done on purpose. Sawakita Ag's face turned black, and he regretted it very much. He regretted that he was careless for a moment and was caught by Tachibana Nijiro's intentional defense distance. But then again, who could have thought that under such incredible prediction, the slightest negligence would pose a fatal threat to them on both offense and defense? Me. Often in a form they have never seen before. Steal. Then next, it must be Tachibana Nijiro's counterattack. Under the audience's gaze, Tachibana Nijiro cut the ball and then accelerated beautifully, calmly shaking off Fukatsu Kazunari, and at the same time with a blank expression on his face. This moment was like the arrival of an emperor. Swish! From the backcourt, dribbling towards Suna's half, Tachibana Nijiro's speed became faster and faster, and the amazingly fast rate even created a wind that blew up the jersey. Stop right there! Suna's Sawakita Ag and another third-year small forward blocked Tachibana Nijiro in front of him. Defend it! Defend it no matter what! Tachibana Nijiro suddenly stopped, his eyes horrified, and he condensed into a murderous look. Defend it! You are too arrogant! Pa! Pa! Under the gaze of Tachibana Nijiro, the world seemed to turn black and white as he watched the continuous crotch with drastic changes in speed. Tab! At that moment, the two felt that their bodies, as the opponent broke through the drastic changes in speed, were like sitting on a shaky ship. Then, the ship capsized. Bang! Bang! As Tachibana Nijiro spoke, Sawakita Ag and the Suna small forward fell to the ground. At the same time that the Suna duo on the first line of defense were defeated, the verdict that followed the words also stunned the other players on the court and the audience. Righto! The jaw-dropping thing is not over yet. Tachibana Nijiro, who rushed into the paint area in the inside, faced Kawada Masashi and Suna center double block. But under the strong deterrence, Tachibana Nijiro only made a fake move, and the extremely realistic action of turning around and worshipping Buddha was already leisurely passing through the two people who jumped up. Brow! There was only an open space without defense. The moment of easy layup, Tachibana Nijiro turned his back to the two people behind him who were still raising his hands to block and said coldly, "Just keep this worship posture and remember it. Your defeat is absolute." Day. Dit. As the basketball passed through the net and bounced faster and faster after landing, everyone in Suna's heart was beating violently and uncontrollably. In a blink of an eye, Tachibana Nijiro started to counterattack after cutting off the ball, like a sharp arrow, piercing through Syama Ushio's defense sharply and fiercely. Think carefully about that series of counterattacks. The audience suddenly realized that in the process of this counterattack, Tachibana Nijiro went from the backcourt to the front court and actually directly hit Suna 1 in 5. Suddenly, the noisy discussions at the scene suddenly disappeared as if they were stuck. The whole venue became extremely quiet because of Tachibana Nijiro's terrifying dragon. It took a while to recover. Oh my god! It's scored! He scored through the whole court alone. Overwhelming power. Tachibana Nijiro. Chapter 112. In Suna's offensive round, Tachibana Nijiro still retreated to the free throw line. At this time, with his Emperor Eye, genius agility and genius bounce, he was able to evolve the wide-range defense that was previously incomplete due to his lack of stature into super wide-range defense. At the same time, Suna finally achieved the effect he wanted during the previous timeout. In summary, it was to avoid Tachibana Nijiro. This time, Sawakita Ag controlled the ball and advanced to the front court, and then faced Sendoh's defense. With all his teammates pulling away, he directly chose to play singles. Snap! Snap! Sawakita Ag landed the ball immediately. Breakthrough! But at this moment, swish! Amid the violent friction of the sneakers, a figure once again intercepted Sawakita Ag's breakthrough route. It was Sendoh. Sawakita Ag was stunned for a moment. Seeing that surprised expression on your face. You don't remember me at all. Sawakita Ag was stunned for a moment, then suddenly laughed excitedly, "Ahaha, it's you." To be honest, 25 he admitted that he had underestimated the other people in Ryonan, and the ability of this Sendoh also exceeded his expectations. If that was the case. Swish! Sawakita Ag suddenly pulled the ball. Crotch! Disguise! Instantly, Sendoh felt that the person in front of him was moving at an incredibly fast frequency. At the same time, Sendoh knew very well that the next step would be a singles match with Suna's trump card. As long as this could be solved, all the goals of the planned plan could be achieved in the first quarter. By the way, it's really amazing. Sawakita Ag. Facing the strength of Sawakita Ag, Sendoh felt that he didn't feel nervous at all, and even the excitement were completely suppressed. On the contrary. At this moment, he was so calm that he was surprised. Because the people who usually practiced with him were all Tachibana, right? Sawakita Ag's dribbling was extremely fast. Sendoh knew that this was not the right time to steal the ball. He stretched out his hand, and the next moment he was greeted by a swift breakthrough. TX. Snap! In Sendoh's eyes, a super-fast white figure suddenly burst past him. Oh my god! Sawakita Ag's speed is so fast. He passed. Wait, Sendoh's defense is not over yet. On the court, Sendoh had clearly fallen behind Sawakita Ag, but his expression did not change at all. It's okay. Even so. With this, there is no problem. On the other side, although Fukuda Kazunari was deprived of the ball under the threat of Tachibana Nijiro, he has been paying attention to this side. Suddenly, his pupils shrank and he reminded, "Watch out behind you." Sawakita Ag. Sendoh's defense just now certainly did not just stand there and wait for death. Instead, he concentrated on estimating the position of Sawakita Ag after the breakthrough and the landing point of the receiver. Then, at the moment when Sawakita Ag started to break through, although Sendoh could not escape the ending of being broken through. But his fastest speed was at least enough to catch up with Sawakita Ag. The receiver after the breakthrough. Tisk. Steal from behind. Sawakita Ag's expression was, "This guy." Sawakita Ag's breakthrough was paused for a moment because of Sendoh's steal, but facing this sudden steal, he relied on his own ability and exaggerated reaction to dodge to the left. Successfully dodged. Sendoh was not panicked at all. More like, as if he had expected that Sawakita Ag would be able to successfully dodge. On the court, Sawakita Ag, who had completely gotten rid of Sendoh, then chose what he thought was the best defense against Funabashi Daisuke. Pull the lever. Ranto. All the Ryonan players on the court, including Funabashi Daisuke, couldn't help but laugh, because they all knew that that was Tachibana Nijiro's territory. And Sendoh, who successfully forced Sawakita Ag to move to the left and got closer to Tachibana with a steal from behind, noticed Tachibana's movements at the first time. Sendoh. This guy. He's getting better and better. Because he has extraordinary foresight, even this defense ability has become much stronger. Not only can he extend from the free throw line to three-pointers, he can even reach the basket directly. Just now, in the audience stands, Suna fans saw Sawakita Ag break through Sendoh and dodge. Sendoh made a desperate steal, trying to get back at Ryonan. They all clenched their fists excitedly. Beautiful! What a great breakthrough! Great! The opposing power forward is here to help, Pull the ball. Tachibana Nijiro. When did he get over there? In a blink of an eye. The uproar at the scene was silenced again. Just beside Sawakita Eiji, a shadow suddenly covered him, and the chill made Sawakita Eiji realize something was wrong at the first time. Q. This ball is a pull-up. And it has come to the last section, so there is no possibility of doing other actions. Here. It's also my area 470. Tachibana Nijiro, who was just near the free throw line, suddenly appeared beside Sawakita Eiji. Snap. Block. Ah. Center Suna suddenly rushed out from the baseline to catch the ball and dunk. Amid the exclamations of the audience, he was about to slam dunk into the basket for this rare game. At this moment, he keenly noticed that the audience's voice was a little too surprised. Then the next second, he knew the reason. Swish! A sudden sound of breaking through the air. A blue light flashed in front of his eyes. Snap! One hand. He nailed his dunk to the backboard. Center Suna. Number 13? Is he dazzled? This guy, after just jumping up to block Sawakita, has fallen outside the paint area due to the inertia of the jump. What the hell is this defensive area?